have you ever heard the saying that the road to mastery is a staircase?
No, but I get it.
Yeah, so it's all about those plateaus, and then you jump up. And so when you talk to a younger tattooer and you talk about like, you're struggling through something, they're like, how are you complaining about what's going on in your life? You're doing everything right. And they're like, you don't even know yet. You don't even know what fucking comes around that corner. You get to a point where you're like, I got to change my style. Shit like that, where you're like, I got to redefine myself.
I don't even want to change my style, but I have to.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I have to because what provoked me to make that style from the beginning is just gone.
Like I wanted to do something unique. Okay, everybody's doing this now. Fuck. What am I supposed to do now?
Probably for someone who does it, though, it's like easy.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing is like I didn't know anything about.
And you could throw these on. And the only thing is make sure you keep the mic like kind of close.
About a fist length.
Yeah, well, you've done this shit.
Yeah,
before.
I have this. I use this mic to fucking play games now.
Oh, like for computer games and shit. Yeah, I always thought about doing that because I would just be using like some shit fucking whatever gamer mic or whatever.
Yeah.
And like crappy like whatever whatever.
Yeah, I use these same Sennheisers and this same mic when I'm sitting in front of my fucking computer being a fat ass. I haven't been doing that very much.
I'm like a recovered video gamer.
Yeah.
I could fall into that real quick.
I'm much like that now, but I'm like a professional amateur. I collect fucking hobbies.
Yeah.
Find ways to waste my money.
Let's have some of this. Oh yeah. So did you build computers and shit too?
I have. I mean, I built the last one, but like, at this point, I think like, I'm pushing 40 and I need to be a little bit of a grown up. Yeah,
Thanks
cheers, man. Absolutely.
So what kind of games are you playing on there?
I like to shoot people in the face.
Me too. I get it.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah.
It's a lot of turn off brain shoot, or I need like a deep story. I need some Elden Ring or something like that to where I can like run around and kind of lose myself in a world. Escapism mostly.
Yeah.
Because it's not like my life is hard. I color for a living, so.
Yeah, but actually, contrary to that statement, I actually think sometimes that is kind of fucking hard.
I like to add the levity. It's like self-deprecation so that I don't take it too serious. I should say I don't want to take myself too seriously. Yeah. It's a silly gig, just tattooing in general.
It is. I concur with that statement.
Yeah.
But it's not always. It is a stressful gig. I mean, I can't undermine that. Like, I mean, or maybe I'm just taking myself and life too seriously sometimes.
No, I think a lot of it is that we're very much in the business of like, look what I can do.
Yeah.
And trying to balance being humble and also appreciative of this. Mm-hmm. Because, you're basically like, hey, let me do whatever I want. Give me money. It's going to hurt. It's going to be uncomfortable. Now it's your job to be okay with that. That's a silly transaction for somebody to make,
Yeah.
But on top of that, I think, at least for myself, all of my self-worth is wrapped up in what I do.
Yeah.
It's not a healthy relationship with art, but it's very productive.
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever met an artist that I like can say I genuinely respect who has a healthy relationship to like anything.
Well, yeah, that's because we're supposed to be like the squeaky wheels, We're supposed to be the ones who are bitching and complaining about everything.
Yeah.
And we're broken toys.
That was always like my motivation. I'd come home and be like, I fucking suck at this, And then you're saying it to somebody who's like learning how to do this, and they're like, what do you mean you suck? I like look up to you, and I'm like, yeah, well,
It's because there's levels to everything, right?
Yeah.
Like I stayed at a really fancy hotel a couple years ago. Life gets a little bit better, and I went in and I was like, shit. We went through all the toilet paper, and I opened up the drawer in the bathroom, and I pull out this toilet paper, and it had like a velvet bag, like a fucking Crown Royal, and I was like, God damn it, there's levels to fucking everything.
Yeah, there is. But it's like it's interesting. It's almost like when you build your like palate, right? Like the more better restaurants or like cuisine you start to enjoy, it's like hard to return. Like
speaking of palate, that's nice. That's super smooth.
These Austin whiskeys are good, man.
Yeah.
A
little dangerous.
Mm-hmm. They're all so drinkable. Actually, my favorite one that I don't have right now is the cask strength.
Oh yeah. If I could get it to where you don't cut it 50% with water, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I was probably like the only 19-year-old that I knew who had a Scotch of the Month Club membership. I had to have my brother, because you had to be over 25 for them to even do that. But they would sell you cask strength, or they would send you cask strength whiskey, through the mail and shit. And everything's like 86 proof and 90 proof. But it drinks just the same. It's so good.
Yeah, I'm a cask strength nut though. Like I probably have like, I don't know, 150 bottles at home of bourbon.
Shit. And okay.
Yeah, but I'm a little bit of what they call a tater, like meaning I don't open them sometimes, and I'll post them to Reddit, and people will be like, "What are you gonna do with those? Just fucking look at them, you know?"
Yeah, but I'm kind of like that too.
Yeah.
I didn't take all the toys out of the boxes. The ones that I really wanted to play with, I did.
Yeah.
But, I was much the same way. Like right now, we've got a friend of ours in from out of town at the house while I'm, off gallivanting, not spending time with him. But, and I brought out a bunch of bottles that I was like, you're here, you like, this shit. I'm not, drinking them all the time. I have a few different things that I like go to because I know they're going to be good.
Yeah.
And then I've, squirreled away a few things here and there. But I've always been like a brown liquor kind of guy.
Yeah, I'm new to it. I was always a beer guy.
Yeah, see, I could never get into, like, I could drink beer to get drunk, but I'm not one who, is loving all the nuances and all of this. I can't get into, what's...
Like an IPA or
Yeah,
something?
exactly. I can't get into the IPAs and the super hoppy stuff,
Fuck, I love them.
It's weird because most people are like, well, you like Scotch and you like, brown liquor. It's that same, like, bitter anise, all of that shit. And I'm like, yeah, but it's not the same as I can get warm and fuzzy off of this.
Well, the platform for an IPA, I probably drank, it'd be an understatement if I said I drank less than I don't know, I probably drank 5,000 fucking IPA. You know what I mean? Like, the problem is the platform is more limiting than the brown liquor platform. When I say that, meaning like there's only so many notes I think one can achieve on that platform where they start blending together. Like you get your citrus, your pine, and then they start fucking with the lactose and the fruit additives, but then they start getting like sweet and almost like sometimes like hard to like, I don't know, the more refined it gets, like it's almost like a trick. Like in a tattoo, right? Like when you see maybe successful artists, but they're like leaning on a trick.
Yeah, they got their gimmick.
They're just adding lactose to a hoppy IPA so it smooths it out and stuff. And it's like, cool. How many of them can I have? They're all kind of like that's how I started to view it.
See, and I think I have like two modes. Like if I want something that's going to make me sociable and feel warm and fuzzy, I want to drink brown liquor. Mm-hmm. If I feel like I want something after a hot day that's going to go great with fried food, I'm like, I can drink a beer with it,
Yeah.
But I've never really been a hardcore beer guy.
But will you'll just have like a lager or pilsner or something like that?
So I'm more adventurous than that for sure. But the IPA thing was mostly because I was like, everything kind of tastes like Fat Tire to me, even though Fat Tire's not an IPA, but that over strong hoppy flavor.
But I wonder if you had like a really good New England IPA, like from the East Coast. Like those real smooth, hazy ones.
I'll try it. I'm going there in 2 weeks. I'm going to Salem. Yeah.
Oh, Salem.
Yeah.
So there's like they're just, trust me, those New England styles. They're out here now.
Yeah.
But they're not as good. Like they mastered that shit.
So is it the same thing as if like when I had a Guinness in Ireland and I came back here, is like everything tastes like shit?
Well, because like the original IPA was a West Coast IPA, extremely hoppy but kind of clear. Like,
right.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
The ones in New York or like Northeast are like they look like fucking white,
like Hefeweizen almost.
Like bro, like you can't see light through it.
Yeah.
Because what they do is they dry hop it. So they when the beer's done, they put copious amounts of hops in it, like probably 10 times more than you should.
Interesting.
And it soaks, but they do it dry, like so they don't cook it in.
Right.
The original IPA, like a West Coast IPA, they would like cook it in.
Yeah. With like basically throughout the brewing process.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the dry hopping is pure plant matter just soaking in there like tea. And they only do it for like a week or two.
Okay.
So it takes it on, and sometimes they call it DDH, double dry hop, so
Right.
they'll do it twice. So it's like really planty, like it's smooth.
Okay.
Because it's not like cooked in.
Yeah,
So
you're not pulling all of those plant extracts
you're only
out.
getting the aromas, like, and that's
okay.
why they need to be drinking so fresh.
Yeah, okay,
because
that
it's
makes
like
sense.
it's so like
Yeah, that shit ages as you put it on a truck and ship it across the country.
Yeah, but that's why you got to have it like real close to when it was made. So my problem with it was there's no collecting value like there is for brown liquor. Like, so if I go get this rare release or this collaboration from some like exclusive brewery and I like wait online and get it, it's like you got to drink that shit in like 90 days, like max.
Yeah, because I mean, like I've aged my own fucking bottles, keeping them for so many years, and doing having them mellow and shit like that. And not only do they hold monetary value, but they get better with age.
Yeah, and sometimes it also the bottle changes as it gets more oxygen, right?
Yeah. Yep.
But I did hear once that like a whiskey bottle's like halfway, it kind of does start a timer.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's all about keeping out those keeping the volatiles in and stopping the oxygen from getting to the liquor. I mean, I've had crazy buddies who nitrogen purge bottles because they've got Pappy Van Winkle and shit,
I did that, and I wasn't sure if it was good or not, like if it was like fucking with it or not.
I don't know. I'm a fucking dumb guy who colors.
Yeah,
I don't know. I love fancy shit, Bobby. I want to be so bougie, but I can't really in here go there. I didn't go to a fancy school. I grew up around rich people, but I was always working for them.
Where did you grow up?
So I grew up in two very different places. I grew up in Sharon, Massachusetts, just outside of Boston.
Oh, so you're originally from there?
Yeah, Poctacon, Havanyard. Yeah, I had that speech impediment and I lost it.
When did you move from there?
When I was like 9 years old.
Okay.
So my grandfather was a landowner out there. He came back from World War II after like being Inglourious Bastards for real.
Yeah.
And bought a bunch of land and opened up a fucking summer camp. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you would think that, my people wouldn't want to have anything to do with camp. But he's like taking it back for the rest of us. And then
so you grew up on this summer camp?
Well, yes, so I grew up in a neighborhood just short of that summer camp, but it was so strange. So me, absentee father, so he wasn't around a lot. And then when we went out there to kind of like try to reconnect later on in life, like I realized his family, my family, owned this whole little town outside of Massachusetts. They had dance schools, pre-Ks, fucking gas stations, this big summer camp. And I didn't know that like, I didn't put it together at that young age that, oh, these people are fucking wealthy. But we were always black sheep because my dad married outside the religion. My mom's a Japanese lady, you're not supposed to do that kind of shit. And then because they were in the military, we ended up moving to El Paso, which is where I spent like most of my formative youth.
So that's like where you went to high school and all that stuff?
Yeah, I went to high school and middle school there. Was always constantly going back and forth, like for summer and stuff like that. But a very, very different environment. Completely strange. The cool thing for me is El Paso taught me what it was like to be like a minority, because it's a 98% Hispanic community, and I'm white passing enough.
Sure. But you said you are half Japanese, did you say?
So I'm Japanese and Jewish. I'm a Jushi, I'm a Ninju, whatever you want to call it.
Are those the slang terms for the blend?
They were mine, but fucking Instagram doesn't like them. Nobody likes them, so like I can't use them. But no, sure. It was very interesting growing up with like no Western cultural influences, because it was like, Hebrew study on one side and then like Nietzschean and Buddhism on the other side. And then I was raised by an immigrant, my grandmother.
And your parents were
side.
like first generation as well?
So my grandfather on my dad's side, talked about the old country and shit like that. But like they're pretty well nor'easter, kind of people, because his mom was from New England. And then my mom's side, she's actually half Japanese, so I'm only a quarter. Her mom, first generation immigrant, and then my mom was first generation born, basically. Yeah. And then she, was an empowered woman of the 80s working, so I was raised by a little foreigner later. And it was good and bad, because it's real easy to lie to somebody if they don't understand English.
But what made it bad?
The fact that I didn't have any adult supervision.
But good that you like learned like somebody who was like kind of like, for lack of a better term, kind of like hustling.
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, I didn't pay a lot of attention to what my mom was doing. I just knew that the bills were paid. I didn't have like a really bad home life. I actually had a pretty good home life, but it was a fucking war zone outside. Lots of gangs and violence and stuff like that. This was at a time before the cartel had taken over the drug trade in El Paso. And so there was a lot of street gangs, vying for territory and stuff like that.
I've never been there. I don't know much about the dynamic of El Paso, but I mean, I could see like of late, it also has a lot of unique problems now with like the immigration and all that shit.
It's a very interesting place. So El Paso is older than the United States. It was founded in 1659.
Because it was part of Mexico.
Yeah, it was El Paso del Norte.
Right.
And it was the pass to the north. It was this break at the end of the Franklin Mountain chain.
Right.
And they put a city there. And it's between El Paso and Juarez. It's the largest international metroplex on the southern border.
Wow.
So there's a massive amount of people there.
And still, too, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But when I was young, it was like, I was 13 years old going to Mexico and partying.
Oh, yeah. Like you and your homies would just sneak away?
Dude,
Is that like...
it wasn't even sneaking away. I'm going to go stay at, so-and-so's house. And then we would just like take a bus or get driven. All we needed was a quarter and we could get back over the bridge because we just had to pay to go through the turnstile, And this was like probably pre-01. Yeah. So it was just like, it didn't get bad until like 2008 to 2011 is when it got real sketchy to go over there. But it had always been a thing to where like you could go get your teeth fixed. You could go, get your, pharmaceutical
I mean, I meet people
shit.
now that are still talking about that. They're I go over there. I'm like, I almost might go over there.
So like when I go home, I'll still go to Mexico. I'm just not going to go at night.
Yeah. So you'll go for like in the day and stuff like that.
Yeah, you can get really delicious food, and I love the culture. I got a taste for Hispanic women. We have the most beautiful women in the world in El Paso because it's so, it's mixed, but it's been from so long ago because you have railroad workers. Yeah. It's a huge military base, and so fell in love with the people and the food.
I concur. I have a well documented history of a yearning for Hispanic women.
Of not white women, Bobby. We get it.
I mean, I like all,
I like women. Just that. Yeah. So you got legs.
Cool. Like when I go to the ice cream shop, I kind of like, all the flavors.
Except for vanilla. I just don't like white girls.
I mean, I still like vanilla too,
Yeah, I get it. I'm scared of them is what it is.
That's funny, man. But yeah, so you're growing up in El Paso. So you said military brings you there.
Yeah, so because my mom was the children of a military veteran, so my grandfather basically went and fought in the Korean War and was like, I got a souvenir, and it was my grandmother.
Okay. Yeah.
And they met when he was stationed in Japan. They came over in '57, and then my mom and her two siblings all kind of grew up in El Paso, so that had always been her home base. And so we were in Massachusetts. She was like, fuck this, I'm getting out of here. Too many J's, whatever. And then
why was that a very like Jewish area there?
So Sharon is a town of red doors, and so
what does that mean?
So the final curse of the Pharaoh.
No.
In the Bible, Moses wants to let his people, let my people go, that whole spiel. Mm-hmm. And the final curse was like, we're going to take the life of the firstborn son.
Okay.
And to protect yourself, you put red goat's blood on the door.
Okay. So that was like an actual thing.
So it's like a tradition that like, you drive around a neighborhood, you see a lot of red doors. You're like, oh.
But they were just painting them red, obviously.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. I mean, if they were doing goat's blood, we might have not left. I'd have been like, this is pretty fucking metal. Yeah. This is pretty cool. It's like they're fucking
playing.
Yeah, they're sacrificing goats in the front yard. I'm like, yeah, this is the old religion. I like this shit, fire and brimstone.
But you're saying like actually there were red doors because they believed that shit.
Yeah. So it's a lot of little things. Like that was the coolest thing for me. Like getting introduced to other religions was going like, man, you guys don't have so much hocus pocus.
Yeah.
Because there's like there's a thing on the inside of like a lot of Jewish businesses. They have what's called a mezuzah, which is like a little piece of the Tova or the Torah. And you had that on the wall, or people wore them around their neck. And then there's like the Chamsa hand, which is like protection from the evil eye. They got all this hocus pocus.
But the East Coast has it's a lot more like eclectic when it comes to like different religions and stuff compared to here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
here it's like at least in Austin, it's like maybe on the outskirts you got some Christians, and then in the center of town you got some like anti-God hipsters. You know what I mean? So there's like a real weird dynamic over here. But on the East Coast, it's like there's like a lot more like of a blend. Like that I grew up in a town called Lyndhurst, New Jersey, and a couple towns over was this town Clifton. And on Sunday, bro, when you drive through that town, there'd be Hasidic Jewish people just walking. everywhere. Like it was like growing up and not knowing much about that. If you went to that town, like say you had to go to a store over there, you would just see like hundreds of Jewish people just walking on the street.
Yeah, it's like going to Brooklyn.
Yeah. Yeah, oh, yeah, same thing. But like New Jersey has like pockets of that. And there's another town, Fair Lawn, New Jersey, which is like a super Jewish town.
Yeah.
But it wasn't so much Hasidic. You know what I mean? It was like I don't know what you probably know more about the terminology.
So Hasidas are the ones that still believe in the Kabbalah. They wear the cool hats and they got the sideburns and shit. And then you have Orthodox Jews who are who get confused with them a lot, but they're much more like hardcore, almost like you would think of like it's hard to think about in like the Christian world of who would be like the
like the comparison.
Yeah, I mean just very strict, very,
so maybe that town I'm talking about, they might have even been Orthodox. I'm not quite sure. But then there's Fair Lawn, New Jersey, which were like more like I don't want to say like Americanized, but they were just like they didn't like you couldn't
Jewish.
Yeah, but they're just like they blended in more.
They're still going to temple and stuff like that, but they don't have crazy clothes on.
Yeah, exactly. And that town was like same, like 80% that. So like in New Jersey, you get those pockets of that shit. And I don't know if that's, I mean, I'm still new around here in Texas.
I think it's just because here, even around the South, you figure the East Coast is this weird place where everybody came over so early.
Like originally.
Yeah, they came over so early that like they just started grabbing neighborhoods.
Exactly.
And here it's like it's just full of Southerners, and so we're all the outsiders. So everybody's like, well, I just got to mingle and mix in.
Right.
And honestly, Austin's this weird blueberry in the tomato soup of Texas.
Sure.
So like you're in a position where like it's going to be a little weird.
This isn't even actually Texas here.
It's not in the sense of like, if you go, there are a lot of places that you can go that like, they don't even like long hairs, they don't want to.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's like, it's very, very different than
there's
the rest
parts
of
Texas that I could drive to probably pretty quick, even from here, where like even I would be like excluded.
Yeah. Look at this guy's fucking wearing glasses. He's got an earring in his nose.
Yeah.
Shit
And it's
like
tattooed like that. Like, yeah.
The tattoo thing though is interesting because Texas has always had that kind of like, fuck you, we're Texas attitude. Even though this is the buckle of the Bible Belt,
right?
People have been getting tattooed here for years.
I see.
It's one of the things that attracted me so much after I started traveling and like looking at other places to work as a tattooer. Why I was like, Texas is pretty dope though, because people just want to get tattooed. There's not as much pushback from religious or just conservative ideals about not being tattooed. You can still be super right wing, but you're gonna get tattooed.
I noticed that too because I tattooed some of those cats like that, and they're like all rolling up with the heavy like Texas accent, some cross tattoo ideas shit, but they still want a tattoo.
Yeah. It's strange, and it's why I think like tattooing in general flourishes so much here. That and the tax situation here.
Yeah, for sure.
Basically, we don't have to pay state taxes, which is beautiful. I was just talking to all my buddies who live in Massachusetts, and I'm like, no, fuck that. Sorry.
Yeah, but I will say, coming from New Jersey, where we have no tax on things like clothing.
Sales tax and shit like that.
Yeah, so like here, I heard that it almost makes up for it, like via your sales tax and like your property taxes and stuff. Well, at least in Austin.
Yeah, well, Austin is this weird amalgamation of like, now we have a massive comedy scene. There's famous people who are coming here who aren't musicians, and it's not only just South by Southwest that you see things.
Yeah.
And the overall gentrification of the area, because it's a beautiful place to live. Because
totally.
Outside of the city limits, you have access to some great outdoor shit,
rivers, swimming holes, hikes,
beautiful shit.
Like,
and now you got all the amenities of a bigger city.
Yeah.
So the property value is going to be skyrocketing. Where I live in College Station now, it's an hour and 45-minute drive from here.
It's really not that far, though. I was thinking it was further than that.
No. It's why we chose that spot initially when the four of us were like, fuck it, where are we going to work? We picked there because it's an hour and 10 minutes from Houston, 2 hours from here, 2 hours from San Antonio. Dallas is the only far one. That's about 3 hours.
Yeah, but it's still not that
It's
far.
not bad. It's not
So,
bad.
so when you say that you were picking a place to work, where were you working before that?
So I was working in Denver, Colorado, and
Oh.
then I had a private studio in El Paso for a while. But I was home maybe 3 months out of the year. I was traveling super heavy.
Oh,
before
you were on
pandemic.
that like total like
Going
on the road.
overseas,
Yeah,
doing the
yeah.
whole thing. Just trying to enjoy the whole fact that we can
Do
just
that?
do this anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like about to enter that phase. I feel like currently myself.
You let me know, dude. I'll go anywhere.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just got back from Massachusetts.
Yeah.
And I'm going back again. 'Cause I
Hell
was
yeah!
like, I like it.
Civac was just here, and he got me into this convention in Germany. It was like this. I forget what it's called. Like some I don't know some convention there
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
like small or
Yeah.
whatever. And then it like sparked this light bulb in my head, and I'm like, wait a minute, wait, hold on.
Dude.
I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm going to Germany, and then I'm gonna go somewhere else while I'm in Europe.
Okay, good.
And I'm like, I'm ready to fucking just do this again. Because I'm not going to lie. Like, I was doing that a lot, too. I was doing, like, 2-3 conventions a month. I was nuts, And then the COVID hit, and I got a little, like, defensive, and I started getting all crazy with all that shit. And then now
Yeah.
I'm kind of, like, ready, I think, finally, like, to, like, live again,
I got a real hard lesson about like myself when COVID hit because I had constantly been on the road and I realized how much mental effort it takes to just be a people person, even if it's with people that you like.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like really able to like, dig down and go, you know what, you might be an outgoing introvert because I love being at home now.
Yeah.
But I'm getting that itch of like,
Same.
my blood's starting to boil and I'm like, I got to get out there because like before like 2017, like so right before all of this shit kicked off, I went to the UK, stayed there for 3 months, worked and went to conventions and then traveled Europe. And it was like, I felt very, very fortunate but undeserving of like how the fuck did I con my way into being able to like go to I'll go to all of these places.
A little sprinkle in a little of that imposter syndrome.
Yeah,
real quick.
yeah. Sprinkling. I fucking every day with the imposter syndrome. You know what I mean?
Fuck yeah. But I mean, it's like almost good, man. Like, I don't want to say it's good. Like, one time I met a guy and I was like, just being myself, and I was like being like overly humble, I guess. And he was like, bro, you should be marching around this place like you own it. You know what I mean? And I was like, but that's just not me. You know what I mean?
And it's never. There's no worse look than seeing a guy who thinks his shit doesn't stink and him being like, it's like, dude, you're not good. You should not act like that.
But with that being said, I've also met some really good tattooers who are like showing me like this world-class tattoo that just won like 10 awards. And they're like, yeah, I know I fucked up the background. And like sometimes it's like, I mean, usually it's a friend of mine, and I think they know they're doing that.
Yeah, they're humble bragging.
Yeah. Humble bragging. That's a good thing. And I'm just like, all right, shut the fuck up, dumbass.
Yeah. I
but
mean,
it's like,
I've been guilty of that shit
I
too.
like it though. It's kind of funny, but like I do it too. But it's kind of like at some point, it's like if you're my good homie, I'd almost rather you just come up to me and be like,
Look at this fucking shit I did, dude. I can't believe this.
Yeah. But then it's like they probably are my good homie because they don't do that.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's like kind
yeah.
of like a thing too.
Well, it's everything's about finding that balance, trying to figure out like what's the best way to tiptoe around the social environments that are like these pockets, because within the tattoo community I don't ever have to worry about like what I say unless I'm doing something like this to where like I gotta not be as offensive as I possibly can because that's like my go-to.
Oh no, there's no you can do that.
No, yeah. I'm going to dip into that a little bit, but we tend to have a thicker skin for lack of a better term,
Yeah.
because we're most of us are just all scumbags.
Yeah.
You good people, but scumbags.
Yeah, for sure. I like it that way. Like,
we're still a little bit of a pirate, just a little bit.
Hell yeah, bro. That's why I do this shit.
Yeah. But out in the world, I don't necessarily want to hurt anybody's feelings.
Yeah.
But I, mask my trauma with laughter. So I'm gonna make fun of shit as much as I can.
Hell yeah, dude. I'm a huge comedy fan, and I understand like the narcissism and like the dark depths that create good comedy.
Yeah.
So for me, like that's like a lot of people I met always tell me that I make them laugh and all that shit. And it's like almost like a defense mechanism, I almost feel like too that might even be linked to like why you get into something like art in a way too, because you get like this reward system for creating something that like I don't know, some form of like ADHD or something. I've been spending a lot of time reading about that lately, like the dopamine responses and like life.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this is even something that like if we'll get real deep into the weeds. Like when I was talking to my shrink about like going through as I'm pouring another glass of whiskey.
Fuck yeah, man, pour it up.
So, you know, I'm talking to my shrink about like, you know, my past and, you know, because, you know, I've got an ADHD diagnosis and we're going.
Hit me with that shit, yeah.
And we're going into a.
Do you have a diagnosis for that?
Yeah.
I'm self-diagnosed, but there's no fucking way I don't have that.
It's one of those things to where like most of the people that I know who are movers and shakers, or you know, for lack of a better term, can't sit fucking still.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They, mostly everybody has it, especially creatives, because everybody concentrates on the, you know, attention deficit part of it, but we have hyper focus at the same time.
Hyper focus. That's the part that I'm starting to learn about now.
Yeah. So, you know, I you know, tattoo, but I'm also a fine artist. I can sit in front of a painting for 9 hours.
Yeah, oh yeah. No eating, no nothing.
Just sit there and work through it, put on a couple podcasts, and just sit there and jam out and do my thing.
Absolutely.
But if you sit me down to do administrative taxes or tasks, when I have to do like my taxes and pull together,
I still owe shit.
I can't even get through it.
Dude, I wait till my parking tickets get the 3rd violation message to pay them.
I have had a car towed away and said goodbye to it because I was like, I'm not going to go through all of that to get it back.
Dude, if I took a picture of my counter right now, I have 45, because I don't have like the Texas toll thing.
Yeah.
So I drive through the tolls and they pay me by mail. I have about 45 letters of tolls, but then they're not because it's the initial toll. It's like the 3rd or 4th time reaching out. And then
they have the attention on it. You know,
I have one that's like saying like you can't even pay it online anymore. Like you need to like send us a check or show up in court.
Yeah, we want to see the schmuck's face who's rung up fucking $500 in tolls.
Because it gives me anxiety to think about the fact that like all that stuff. Like but I don't know. Like it's weird. Do we create things like this to like define people like that, or is that just not natural? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
yeah. So from everything that I've done, you know, because I've done a ton of like my own research, and then it got to the point to where I, right before the pandemic, we got so busy that I made the mistake of like, well, I'm going to book a year out
of tattooing.
Yeah, which is the dumbest. I mean, if there are people who can handle it, do it. That's great.
Yeah.
I can't do it again.
No, 2-3 months for me and I'm good.
I do 3 months.
Yeah.
My book's just fucking open today, and I'm like, I'm dreading going through the emails, but I only have to do it for fucking like maybe 4 days, and then I'm done.
You're done, and then you close it up.
I can fucking relax because I hate it. I'm dyslexic. Big comorbidity with ADHD is dyslexia.
Is that right?
But one of the things, like when I was doing all this research and looking through about like, okay, you know, what does this actually have to do with me? How is it, you know, is it really affecting me? Because I wear pretty thick armor. Usually a lot of stuff never gets to me. Mm-hmm. You know, I try to just, you know, wake up and go, you know, fuck it, it's another day. You know, I being raised by a foreigner helps with that, because my grandmother was so fucking old school that like she was like, your attitude or your feelings are something that you can control. Yeah. You know, there's a saying in Japan to where like, don't cause trouble for others. Don't be a dickhead. Yeah. You know, and
but your feelings you can control. I mean, I contest that statement slightly.
Oh, I contested 100% because I was a little kid who was upset.
I've had somebody walk into my room before and make me feel some way. Yeah. And I can't help it. You know what I mean?
I definitely still feel that, but I also know that being a tattooer, I'm not allowed to have a B game. So I come in with my A game every time. Sure. And even when I was going through my divorce, one of the worst parts of my life, I knew that I'd had to come home and deal with my life, and then when I get up in the morning, I got to go to work and I got to put this fucking face on so that I can get paid and get through this tattoo, because at least my client deserves that. They're the one who is paying my bills.
So it's a very interesting question actually. How is that upholding your A game as a tattooer while going through such a tumultuous time like a divorce? Like is that like a hard thing, like you would say in hindsight, to do, or do you feel like looking back at it like you were just you were just doing?
The best way that I can relate it would be, if you think about a mountain climber, tattooing was one of the anchors in the wall for me as I felt like I was free
That's like
falling.
Almost where you get present.
Yeah, it was a form of escapism from my
Yeah.
personal problems because
Sure.
I was doing this problem solving that tattooing is
Do you feel like
always
that
was.
tattooing was always that for you? Like not just through your divorce, but like do you feel like that's like something that you just did in general? Like it was a little bit of an escapism?
I think so. I started tattooing and getting into tattooing in like 2000.
Okay.
For me, initially, what brought me on to tattooing was it looked hard, and I love to
Yeah.
work with a chip on my shoulder. You know,
Do I know about that?
yeah, if somebody tells me I can't do something, God,
Oh
you know.
God. The only reason why I'm sitting here having this conversation with you is because of exactly that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
In fact, I had to relearn how to be creative and artistic once the chip started to dissipate.
Yep.
It's like where it's like this weird juxtaposition arises from like gaining health potentially.
Yeah.
Because it's like, wait, hold on, I'm like transcending the chip that got me here. But that's kind of cool because that's where you start like hitting another way. You know?
Yeah, it goes like along the. Have you ever heard the saying that the road to mastery is a staircase?
No, but I get it.
Yeah, so it's all about those plateaus, and then you jump up. And so when you talk to a younger tattooer and you talk about like, you know, you're struggling through something, they can't see the forest
And
for the
how
trees.
beautiful it is,
They're
yeah.
like, how are you complaining about what's going on in your
Yeah.
life? You're doing everything right, and they're like, you don't even know yet. You don't
Yeah.
even know what fucking comes around that corner. You know, you get to a point where you're like, I got to change my style.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
shit like that, where you're
Yeah.
like, I got to redefine myself.
I don't even want to change my style, but I have to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I have to because what provoked me to make that style from the beginning is just gone.
Yeah, like I wanted to do something unique. Okay, everybody's doing this now. Fuck.
Yeah.
You know, what am I supposed to do now?
Yeah. I mean, that's like something for me that I struggle. Yeah.
Yeah, but so back to the ADHD thing. I talked to my shrink, and you know, they do background. They want to know what, you know, how did you grow up? What was your life like? And you know, I told her about all the stupid shit that I did when I was young, and she goes, "Okay, all right, that makes sense." She's like, you know, I just want to give you some notes. Are you aware of your lack of preservation of life? Your survival instinct is really low.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I never really thought about it like that. It was just exciting. She's like, you know, everything you've told me is like, clearly you're understimulated. And so what, from my very basic understanding of neurochemistry, is we just have a lower dopamine reuptake.
Yeah.
You know, we don't produce enough, and
Sure.
then what we produce we burn very quickly. And so that's like the whole point of doing like cognitive behavioral therapy. If you're going to do the medication route, that's like one of the things that comes along with it, but that's got a whole nother can of worms that comes into it. I've found that like for a long time I coped with it because I built my career in business around having ADD.
Oh, for sure.
You know,
Yeah.
I delegated all the tasks that I didn't want to do,
Yeah.
had somebody else do that. And those are all very successful things. Now, I did have the misconception of like, oh, I'm going to get help and then my life's going to change. I'm going to become type A. I'm going to become organized and,
Yeah.
you know, shit like that. And it doesn't work that way.
I think for me, I was trying to mingle with type A type people, and then kind of like balancing my life out that way. But I feel like that's unfair to those people too, which is like, and recently I've been delving into this more, like trying to understand the dynamic of a relationship. Like, say I'm an ADHD type person and being with somebody who's very type A, how they have to like pick up the slack for like the type of things.
Yeah, that's a difficult balance, mostly because it's not that you're, you know, you have this attention issue. It's also the kind of personality that you have to do this job, at least from like the generation of tattooers that are our age. Now there's a lot of quiet kids again. You know, there's a lot of kids who are like more reserved.
No, I grew up very social,
Yeah.
working in a deli in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Hey, Jim, how are you? Hey,
Yeah.
you know, and I'll talk to a fucking brick wall. You know,
Yeah.
I'll go to the supermarket and have a full conversation with the fucking checkout
I
clerk.
too am a chatty Cathy.
Yeah,
I can't help
with
it.
anybody. Yeah, I love it.
doesn't
I'll
matter.
tell people about my fucking problems.
Yeah,
at the
I'm a fucking
store.
open book.
Yeah,
You know what I
open
mean?
book. Yeah.
I'm an open book.
Dude, I'll meet someone tomorrow and start telling them about like my deepest problems. I have no problem sharing what's like.
Book is a stretch. I'm an open magazine. I can't read, so
Yeah.
you know.
Well, that's just saying you have the dyslexia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a picture. That's why I don't do lettering, man. I misspelled Texas when I first started.
Yeah?
Put taxes
I
right
just
on
don't
somebody.
do it because I just don't.
There are better people than me to do it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I just never like tuned into that discipline of tattooing, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's something to that. as far as like, the dyslexia thing is one of those things that it seems like the world has just like given me flowers about it, because like now I can do books on tape. There's podcasts. I can collect content so easily.
So listening doesn't affect your dyslexia?
No, not at all. It's mostly written words, and a lot of times I will convince myself that something says something. Oh. And that's just the way it is.
There's different degrees of dyslexia.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, like, because I know somebody with dyslexia who says that they're very bad at texting, and I wonder if that, like, is that something like for you that would do, like, if I were to send you a paragraph text message, and you were to decipher it, would that like kind of be like a little bit of a hurdle if I kept rapidly chatting with you via text?
It's not so much receiving the information, because I've always read things 2 or 3 times.
So it's compiling the response?
It's, if I am actually texting, I will come off very curt. I will be very short, because I want to get, I've even had people tell me, it's like, you're so nice in person. Why do you seem like an asshole when I text? I was
Yeah. No, this is very similar to, and I'm just trying to understand. So like,
it's voice to text. That's how I do it now.
And it's not even just that. So it's not that you can't. It's just that you've made errors in the past, so now you're like protecting yourself a little bit by
it's too much work. It's because I have to read and reread to make sure that everything's correct.
Oh.
And so I get to the point to where I'm like, fuck that. Yes, I'm coming. Instead of being like, I'm out here fucking doing
I
this.
would love to come. It's great. Would you like me to pick up a case of White Claw on the way? Whatever.
Shit
Like
that.
Like nuance becomes like, because then you're not sure if it's coming across right, or the grammar's right, or the pacing of the statement.
So and a lot of it, and this is like another one of those things. I grew up my whole life listening to people make fun of the way my grandmother talked, because she had, a thick Japanese accent. So I worked really hard to become like well-spoken. I have a really broad vocabulary, but I can't spell any of the words. So I feel like I communicate so differently via written word that it's almost as though I have like a producer or an editor in my head being like, okay, you need to get your point across, because you're going to get lost in the weeds. So it becomes super short.
So that's what I'm saying. Like your inner dialogue is just like, get this out.
Yeah.
In order to not make a mistake.
Yeah.
Before I do.
Dude, when we were still T9ing on phones, forget about it. I wasn't texting anybody. I was like, fuck that. I was like, numbers and letters, and I got to press buttons multiple times. I was like, I can kick ass at a video game, but working that, no way. I've gotten a lot better. I've gotten a lot better mostly through, because I'm doing educational stuff, and I'm teaching seminars and stuff. So I have to put syllabuses together, but I have somebody help. Read and be like, hey, that's
who's helping ChatGPT.
Oh, dude, had I known, I'm for the robots. Do everything. If I can get a robot to create some OBJ files for me that I can just modify, I'll be down for that shit.
That'll probably happen.
Oh, it's gonna happen, because
they're gonna. You're saying Midjourney's gonna like eventually get to the 3D sphere.
Yeah. 100%.
Damn.
You think about it, like our end product
Yeah.
is never really whatever the Midjourney makes.
Yeah.
Ours is always transmitted into
I
a
don't
different
care
media.
about any of that stuff.
No,
I don't give a fuck. No, you can't replace me.
Yeah, well, that's the beautiful thing about it. It's like a lot of people. We had this big discussion at Health City about it, and I was like, you guys don't understand. I was like, you guys are being the same old fuckers who are like, fuck the internet, and fuck the iPad.
Yeah, it's the same goddamn shit.
I was like, go skin an animal and fucking draw on parchment then.
Yeah.
It's like, go throw away your fucking, batteries.
Hey, throw your key fob in the sewer and get on your horse, bitch.
Yeah, exactly. Because for me, I'm just like, well, now I get to be a fucking, a creative director.
Yeah.
And so, trudging through Midjourney prompts to make an image sucks with the dyslexia. But I've gotten pretty good at like copy and pasting.
You've come over a couple hurdles in your time, so I think you're good.
Yeah. I mean, fuck, I got a degree. So I'm not as dumb, but it's.
I don't have a degree, so I feel more dumb.
Nah, you should feel smarter because you didn't waste a bunch of money.
And I have no debt, bitch.
Yeah, you didn't waste a lot of. I don't have any debt, but I paid out of pocket.
No, I'm just kidding.
But I wish I would have had debt, because then maybe somebody would have forgave it.
I mean, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't really look at any of this shit as like, it's a deficit, or dyslexia is a learning disorder. I don't really care.
You're
about
just
any
you,
of that
bro.
shit.
You're navigating the world.
Yeah.
And you've done well,
I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
Doing okay.
Well, I'm saying like, sometimes things that other people might look at like a handicap can become an advantage.
Yeah, well, and I think like the biggest advantage of like being the class clown or the outspoken one or somebody who just like can't keep their mouth shut.
Yeah.
Is I've been able to schmooze my way into relationships with people,
Right.
or just being able to be a presentable human being
Yeah.
and change the minds of people who thought like, if you're a tattooer, you have to be this way or that way. I don't like chameleon change my mask if I'm going to hang out with smart people, but I will flex on people a little bit if they think like I'm an idiot. But that only comes out of like, I want the attention.
Yeah. But this is what I'm talking about.
attention.
But there's pros to everything. You know,
It's
what
a
I mean?
hidden superpower. It's like being an idiot savant and having autism. It's like, yeah, he like drools and can't speak, but goddamn, the guy can write Tchaikovsky and shit.
Yeah.
You know,
Dude could go on a 15-minute helicopter ride over New York
dude,
City.
I watched that kid, and he draws the fucking They took him to Rome, and he draws like the whole Colosseum, and it's down to every window. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah. I was like, don't tattoo. I won't have a job. Stop.
Yeah,
Don't.
I'm not worried about ChatGTP. I'm worried about that autistic dude who
Yeah,
can fucking
yeah.
recreate New York.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Dude just goes and looks at a couple tat mags.
Yeah,
And then just
yeah.
starts doing back pieces like nothing.
No, stay out of my game. Stay in your lane, bro. Get on TV for being a smart, dumb guy. Okay.
Yeah, but it's like for real though. It's like a thing.
Are you
Yeah.
the kind of guy who like regurgitates artwork? Like, does it come easy to you, or do you got to put a lot of thought into it?
No. Very easy.
Yeah.
So I've never taken a formal art class. I've never read a book on art. Like anything you see me doing is like almost from me. I don't even have influences. Like you could tell me about, I have influences in the sense of like friends I've met in tattooing or something like that. You know what I mean? I was fortunate enough to work for years with Dennis Sivak. I met Sean Foy very early in my career, which is maybe one of the most formative guys I met.
Yeah.
Because he was very adamant for me being unique and different. And he always used the term steez.
Yeah. Well, tattooing lends itself very strongly to people being unique.
Yeah.
And it doesn't come with all of the kind of gross behavior that happens in the art world if you're trying to be a trendsetter kind of thing.
So for me, I got into tattooing, right? And I felt like I kind of hit the ground running. Like it all just made sense to me very fast. And I think we were talking about it before the podcast. The first thing I seen was that Keith Caramello video, Keeping It Real. And when I saw that, he was describing things very like, how can I say it? Like very cerebrally. Like he wasn't just like...
There was methodology to everything. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm moving this whole
No,
fucking
you're good.
shit. Hold on. This shit's bothering me. Yeah, there we go. So he was very like... He was speaking in a way that was like... Yeah, everything was like...
He did have like a very academic way of teaching.
It was academic, but it was also like nuanced, and it was like, like blend out of here and into here, and it was like a little like it spoke to me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? At the
time.
accent
too, probably.
Probably, yeah. This Long Island ass cat.
fucking-
I'm sitting in a fucking small town of New Jersey.
You're like, he's not that far.
under a power line somewhere, and then exactly. And it just like, because like I guess the guys teaching me were great, they were doing the best they can, but he started getting like a little more like deep and like long-winded, almost like now it was like very like a lot. Like he was describing like all these things, and I dip into here, and sometimes I make this decision, and I hit this again, like, and it was like like, and I was like, oh, and it just made sense.
Well, a lot of the things that happened when I first started looking at those videos, especially a lot of the videos that came out around that time. Nico had a couple videos, Mike DeVries DeVries had a couple videos coming out at that same time.
Yeah, I remember all that.
Is all of them were breaking all these rules that all these old school guys were telling me, like that, and I was taught by people who were like, well, you see what I'm doing, you do it like that. There was not like this big explanation, and there was,
and me too.
Yeah.
And then I met this guy. His name was Marcel Goyen. He was the guest artist at the shop I was learning at, and he showed up and he had a Wacom tablet, a laptop, and a rotary machine with T-Tech cartridges and a metal grip. And I remember like he was from like, in my opinion, from the future. And he was smoking a weed vape in 2012, you know? And he was like from like another planet. You know what I mean? And I remember meeting this guy, and he sold me my first machine. It was an Injecta Specific 2.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. That's old.
And I still have it. I still have it. And I bought that machine from him, and I remember like getting flack. They're like, "What are you doing? Like, why are you using this technology?"
Yeah.
And
I went through the same exact shit.
I started with the technology, but it was like primitive technology compared to now.
Yeah.
So I've been always on, but I grew up video gaming. I used to play in we were lucky enough to have an internet cafe in my hometown, and on like a Saturday there'd be 40 bikes in front, and there was 40 PCs. There'd be kids waiting for a PC. You know what I mean? And we were playing not Call of Duty,
CS:GO,
CS:GO, and we were really into a game called Medal of Honor, Allied Assault.
Yep, I know exactly what fucking.
And we would lean at the V2 rocket, and we would play snipers only in an indoor map. And then and they had a dedicated server at that place, so we grew up building and then we started building our own computers, and we were playing all this shit. And then we played like Call of Duty United Offensive came out and all that shit.
Oh my god!
And
that's
we were
taking me back.
we were playing was a Battlefield, but like with those huge maps. Forget the name.
Yeah,
of it.
I went through that. I played like Quake. I played
Yeah.
all of those. All
We
of
played
those
it all.
early shooters.
So I was always like a technology kid, and this was before I became a tattoo artist. And then when this guy came in with this Wacom tablet and all that shit, and I was like, I always liked all that shit, you know?
Yeah, see, and like I was very much like, even now I'm an early adopter.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I
Same.
You know, I feel as though I saw the writing on the wall as soon as I first started seeing rotaries coming back around. That I was like, nah, that's where we're gonna be at, guys. I was like, it's almost crazy that when I walk into a shop and I hear a coil, I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Why is it so loud? So, for me, I was same thing. I was always into technology. I was, fortunate enough when I was young to have like gaming consoles and stuff. But I had some friends who had a little bit of cheese, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go play on his computer and shit. And then we got a computer when I was fairly young that I kept alive for years.
I remember that moment too, because we used to go to that aforementioned LAN cafe that I was talking about, and then for Christmas I had asked if I could get my own computer. And my mom bought me a Dell, but it had an upgraded video card in it. And I remember the specific computer. And actually, I remember it arrived via mail early, but she put it in the living room and she made some and she covered it, but I saw it and she made some excuse how it was like, oh, the neighbor ordered it and asked me if I could receive this package.
You're like, this is fucking bullshit.
But I knew it was mine. And actually, we put the internet cafe out of business because me and 30 kids all got our own computers that Christmas. And then they started banning us from the servers.
What the?
No, because they had their own dedicated servers, and we would all. That was like the community, and they didn't want us on it because we weren't there anymore.
That's
you know what I'm
crazy.
saying? So then we all started doing that, and it's funny that even the dude now who does all the shorts for this was always at the computer next to me.
No,
so
we
we're
were
all
a small world.
just computer kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, I even now, I see more and more people getting into PC gaming, but I've always kind of had a PC.
Yeah, same, always.
It's and I've always, I was one of the first guys at the shop that I learned to use Photoshop.
Sure.
People,
we've been using Photoshop since Photoshop fucking 3.
Yeah, the little gray icon. That little shitty one.
We had it back then because we used to make graphics for our clans and stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Clan wars and all that shit. So, think about this, too. It's really crazy. So whenever people hit me up now and they're like, hey, I want to get into ZBrush. And they're like, what do I need to buy? You know what I tell them? I tell them, have you been using a computer for the last 20 years? Then don't save your money.
Don't do it. Yeah, exactly.
You're literally I already understand. Even if I don't know the commands of the program, I'll try a few and be like, oh, they're on this wave. You know what I'm trying to, because I already know how all this works.
Yeah, if you don't know what keybinds are, and if you don't know what macros are, it's just don't do it. Just don't do it. It's not worth it.
If you don't know, after you're shit starts overheating, how to it's hard. You can't just get into this now.
You can't explain decimating a mesh to somebody who doesn't know what control P means. You know what I mean? It's there's such a bridge of
it's you're starting this from the fucking beginning right now today because you think you're just gonna hop on this bandwagon to make cool 3-dimensional art. It's man, I've been fucking around on computers since I'm a fucking kid, dude.
Well, and it's honestly, ZBrush is so overpowered for crazy. What we do.
It's so overpowered.
I've been leaning heavy on Nomad if I'm going to do any kind of 3D sculpting stuff, just because I can just carry it around.
There's just so many things to learn, dude.
Yeah. And that's the thing is I still have my Cintiq and I still have all of these things. and I love having the knowledge. If I really need it for a project,
Yeah.
I can dive back in or I can use something. But mostly what I'm doing is I'm doing the same thing we're doing with, references. I'm finding 3D laser scans of either real objects
Yeah.
or objects that I can take in and modify.
Yeah.
And I don't need like a,
I'm doing Photoshop in 3D space now.
Exactly.
That's what I'm doing.
Exactly.
But I'm not a sculptor. No, I'm not. I don't even want to be, honestly. I told that to somebody else. I'm just buying 10 models and meshing them together sometimes.
It's too much work to be really good at it because
No.
I think we've
Yeah.
spent enough time getting really good at something that you know how hard that road is.
My goal is to make a good tattoo.
Yeah,
Or a
exactly.
painting, maybe.
Yeah.
But I'm not trying to be a sculptor.
Yeah.
So I'll just borrow someone's sculptor, but then throw an alpha on it. Maybe take a couple. I'll split the teeth into parts. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Remove 2 of them or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, but I'm more of like a technician about that. I'm just manipulating it like I would Photoshop.
Yeah. I love getting to the point where I'm like, okay, the model's good, and I can start fucking with the lighting.
Yeah.
Because I know that it's almost time to fucking tattoo. It's almost time to
Yeah,
tattoo.
that's what. And then think about this: after I make a good composition in like a program like Keyshot, which I use, then I'll bring that into Photoshop and I'll start putting color layers on it. And maybe I'll put a star glow in here and I'll color layer a glow on that because I already have the strong light, but maybe it wasn't the color of what the other object would be.
Yeah, or narratively, you want it to have a source of that light or something. Yeah, that's what's so cool about just messing around with all of the mediums of design is the simple fact that, like, at the end of the day, we're visual storytellers.
Yeah.
Even if it's a story that you can't articulate, like, I want it to make sense to a certain degree. And it's just more vocabulary for me to use. Like,
Yeah. Sometimes I do a tattoo, actually, like I did one the other day. It was just like an animal that I found from like a fucking Nat Geo photo. And it's like, it felt like I was like off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're like, I'm working from something flat.
Yeah. It felt like weird. It felt like I was like if you're a baseball fan, it was like I was a catcher who was the DH on a day game after a night game. You know what I'm talking about? Like it was like half off today.
Yep.
But I still crushed the tattoo and it was cool and the dude was stoked. But like in my heart, I was like, man, I could have 3D modeled that or whatever. But like, yeah, I'm learning when not to do that too.
Well, that's because I think when you meet somebody who is really trying to do something artistic. I'm not going to say like an artist because I don't know really what that even means anymore.
Yeah.
But somebody who's trying to be a creative, you find that like when they're in love with the process, that's the more important thing most of the time.
Dude, I've been markering more shit on lately. A dude told me he wanted a stained glass tattoo the other day with a bird in front of it, and I found the bird and stenciled it, and then I took tape and made a bunch of lines on them, and then I just tattooed stained glass on them with no, like, I've been getting, and I don't know, this has nothing to do with what we're even talking about, but I've just been getting more confident lately with like, whatever, I know what to do.
Well, I mean, but that's the beautiful thing about it is like, so much like me getting hyper focused into different hobbies, when I learn a new technique, I feel like, I've got to use this all the time until it gets to the point to where I'm like, okay, you've learned that. Now what are you going to do?
But then that's what's cool because then you take a step back from that and you're like, I don't need to use it right now. That's like a separate discipline.
Yeah.
Like I know so much about using this technique that I don't need to use it today.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I was getting at before when I was talking about like using the flat image or our marker.
Yeah.
Because I spent a lot of time trying to fucking understand a marker.
Yeah.
Just because I could use ZBrush and fucking light it really crazy. In doing that so much, I almost learned how to light something that I draw on with a marker.
It's all reverse engineering one way or the other.
Yeah.
I love looking at artwork because I'm trying to break down how they did something, and it's no different than like I've worked and lit things in ZBrush, so now in my mind I can project this light and I know what this object, where the cast shadows are going to be, and where all of these things, the rim lighting and everything's going to lie.
Yeah.
So it just ends up being like an ingrained part of the process to where like now you have more bandwidth for creativity because you don't have to work on this other part as much.
Yeah, and I think that's where I'm starting to get now.
Well, and it's interesting because I have like, you meet so many different characters in tattooing who we all end up doing good tattoos, but the road getting there is so different that like even now I'm getting my arm done by my buddy Matt up in Massachusetts, and he doesn't like stencil machines. He's always fighting with technology.
Yeah.
He doesn't draw on a tablet. Everything he does is freehand. He does very illustrative, images of basically a lot of animals, but kind of whatever. But he can draw everything on, and he's like, it's the greatest con because I've tricked everybody into thinking that this is harder to do than what everybody else is doing. But I don't go home and draw.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like,
So
I get to fucking draw on you, and that's
yeah,
like
and he
where
gets
it
to,
is.
like when he's home, he gets to like disconnect even. Maybe.
Yeah, he's my compass for somebody who has a life outside of tattooing. Because that was the hardest lesson to learn. Because for so long I defined myself as like I'm a hardcore tattoo guy. I'm not a cool guy tattooer because they're very different things. But I was like, I am all about fucking tattooing. I want to get good at this, and it was just like over encompassing every aspect of my life.
Fuck yeah.
So I didn't have any outlet outside of that.
Yeah.
So I wasn't like living a life. I was just fucking on the grind all the time.
Oh yeah.
But I think everybody has to go through that.
Yeah, for sure. It's actually for me the backswing is like more interesting.
Yeah.
Because then you start like saying like, wait, who am I besides that?
Yeah.
And that's kind of like where I'm starting to get now, or I've been getting to. And that's like where you start like almost developing more.
Oh yeah. I mean, like it's crazy. I've always had like these little side hobbies that keep me sane because it's like I like being a beginner. I like learning something because in the beginning of something, it's the fast learn. You're pumping in a ton of information and you're storing it away.
You're just getting hit with that dopamine.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
yeah, that's all I want. I'm a drug addict.
Yeah. We are.
Yeah.
We all are.
Yeah.
And I think it kind of lends back to like we were talking about the ADHD kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like but that's why my friend was talking to me about this the other day. It's like you need like unsolvable problems, and I think that's where like tattooing itself is
a
cool.
game. It's a game you can't win, but it's so fun to fucking play.
And then you start having sub games within that, like different technologies, different methods, freehand, ZBrush, Photoshop.
Yep.
And then it's like for me like a podcast.
Yeah.
Like shit that's just like unconquerable.
Well, and it's great because it's like I feel like for me to get into anything, I have to be justified because I get this real bad problem of feeling guilty. That's why I can't hardcore video game like as much anymore because I feel like I'm like there's something else I should be doing.
Yeah.
But I can sit down and I can learn like Maya or another program because I'm like, oh, there's applications for this. I'm not doing it for like selfish reasons, even though I still am because I'm like I just I like
but
the
then you gotta
dopamine
apply
fix.
it to your tattooing. What was the one me and my friend were fucking with the other day? Not Maya. It's like a Daz.
Gaz?
Daz. D-A-Z.
No, I haven't heard of it.
Daz 3D. It's like insane, but it's like kind of stupid at the same time.
Is it?
You could download literal women that look real and then move them however you want. You could download like a gun and they could hold it, but they all like work together and it like snaps. You could download different hair for the woman. Like
interesting.
it's like more rendered.
Okay.
But then you could like move it, and then you could put like a fire in front of her, and you'll get the.
So
light.
you're not dealing with just like.
It's less raw.
Yeah, there's already like texture mesh and fucking
all
shit.
that. Yeah. But it almost seemed like cheap, like in the sense that like it was like.
Yeah, it's like plasticky kind of like.
No, not like that. Like meaning like you weren't getting to the root of it. Like it was more like refined.
Oh, okay, I get you. It's more like you're playing dress up, like character creation in a video game.
And then you could download like a chick with like nice hair, and then you could control all her features and all that stuff. And then you could buy clothes that goes with that model. Like, you know what I'm talking about? Like,
yeah, I totally understand what you're saying.
It was like less like structural, and more like cosmetic.
Yeah.
But you could also like move everything.
Yeah, okay.
But then you could still change the textures, but you could like buy them. Like it's not like you fucking around with because like on Keyshot I could like get like an image from Google and
turn it into a texture
or an alpha.
Yeah.
No, this was like here's like 30 that belong to this already.
You're buying skins like fucking Call of Duty.
Yes, but it was like it seemed really good for references. Like it was like bizarre. Yeah. Like you could control it. You could make like real ass shit. It's called Daz 3D.
I'll definitely look into it. I love at least like dipping my toe into stuff like that. There's been a few.
I've dipped my toes in all of them. Yeah.
I try to try out most things, and I'm the same way about like machines. I tend to just like end up leaning back on the same shit that I'm comfortable with because I'm like, this is gonna work.
What machine you rock now?
The FK Irons EXO.
Okay, I don't even know that. I'm like, I used to be that way, and I've gotten so comfortable with what I use, I almost don't even fucking try new ones.
What are you using now?
Just the Injecta Flight with the battery pack or whatever.
The Nano?
I don't even know the fucking name of it. No, the Flight V2.
Oh, the old.
No, with the big battery on it. The
one that has the battery built into it that looks all fucking
I don't even
crazy
know the name of
futuristic.
it.
Yeah, I know which one you're
I've been
talking
using
about.
it for like 2 or 3 years, and I just can't get off it.
I'll break out my Injecta every once in a while just to be like, let me see.
Injecta slows me down, but it makes everything right.
It is one of the best like color packing machines.
It is, right? I haven't had a bad heel in like years.
What are you using, like a solid bar or any of the little bouncy boys?
However it comes.
You're so basic, Bobby. I love it.
Needles, people are like, what needles do you use? I'm like, whatever I got.
Dude, I was buying like the cheapest needles on fucking Amazon and like winning best of shows and shit, and people are like, what are you doing, what are you using? I'm like, and then I for a while before all the batteries took off, I had that critical supply that was just colors. There was no like settings.
I remember.
And so people were like, what do you run your machine at? I'm like,
purple,
like a purpley blue or something. And then they're like,
that's how I am, dude, with everything. Like, what do you use, 5 or 7 round shader? I'm like, if I'm out of 5s, I use a 7. Yeah. And if I got no 7s, I use a 5. And if I don't have any of those, I use a 5 liner.
It's just like I'm exactly the same way. I'm like, how much of a schmuck I am? Did I order needles? Fuck, I didn't. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to use this shit.
Now I'm alone, so I'm a little more on top of it. But before that, I would just bum one from the guy next to me.
Yeah, I rifle through people's drawers all the time. I tell them.
I'm the same way. They know how I am. But then I'll buy them lunch or something.
Yeah. Or I'll like order a whole box of needles because I use 3, and I'm like, you can have them.
I'm the same way.
But yeah, I recently got given one of the Carson Hill's new machines, his new Numa pen thing. It's okay. I think there's a little bit too much shit in it.
Yeah.
Like, I really just like a machine that goes in and goes out. I don't need give. I don't need all of this shit.
I don't need any of that stuff. Yeah.
It's like all of that's built into this. So like if I can get through
I'm
it,
more
I'm
that
good.
way too. Yeah.
It's less for me to fucking think
I like
about.
a shorter stroke, even for color, which is like
it's anti whatever. It doesn't fucking matter.
Nah, because I'd rather a longer throw with a shorter stroke.
Yeah.
I use a 3.25 because that's what the Injecta comes with.
Yeah.
And that's just what I use.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like a good tattooer can tattoo with any machine.
Bro, I'll use a fucking jail machine.
Dude, I've bought like 6 of the same $12 machines on Amazon just because I'm an idiot and I forgot to bring machines to a show, so I Amazon shit on the way over, and I used them all weekend and I burnt up 2 of them and I didn't care. But when I have something that I don't have to think about, it's even better. Like, I'm just like, I know it's going to work. I don't have to worry about it.
And that's why I like the Injecta, because I know it's a quality piece of machining and it just works for me. But I'm not like saying that if like you said to me, I must use a Cheyenne, I'll just adapt to it and get good at that too. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not that crazy about it. Like that's all I'm getting at, you know?
Yeah, that's why I had like the hardest things with like sponsorships and shit like that. Like, you know, getting told that I needed to like tape up my bottles when I'm at a convention and shit. I'm like, but I just want to use whatever the fuck I want to use. Yeah. Like, it's like, I don't really want to get pigeonholed into this area where, you know, I either have to talk about something that I don't really believe in, or like I'm using a shittier product just because it's like, I don't know. I don't even know what sponsorships are good for. We don't get paid like regular people who get sponsorships anyways.
Yeah, on all the sponsorships I have, I just know that they're good people. They've been good to me. Yeah. And that's about it. But like, I'm not like,
like, I have an aftercare sponsorship, and I like them, so I use it. Yeah. And it's good shit. And I'd much rather be on that kind of playing ground.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. You know? But I'm not going to lie. I've been using the Radiant ink, and I really do fucking like it.
I have a set that they sent me, and I'm like this with, like, almost every ink company. I grab specific colors that I like, and I just kind of use those. But, I mean, honestly, all the shit's getting so good, it doesn't really even matter.
Well, and that's the other thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. If your product's not good, you probably can't even survive.
Yeah, I mean, because there was for a while that it was like a fire sale in the tattoo industry where they're like, how can we pull money out of these guys' pockets, by bringing every little fucking gimmick and stupid fucking thing their way, because we waste money like no other animals on the planet. Tattooers are so bad about that. That, like, you know, it puts you in a position to where, like, you're like, oh, well, that's the new hotness. I need to try it out kind of shit.
Yeah. I feel like that might be leveling out in a weird way, right?
Well, it's the economy's catching up with us.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, we're on like a low right now.
It feels like 2008 again. I'm not going to lie. I mean,
I wasn't tattooing at that time.
The tattoo industry is really resilient. You know, it's just like the bar industry. It's like people get tattoos when they're happy. People get tattoos when they're sad. I bought my first house in 2008, like after the crash. So it's not like it was that bad for us.
And it's very interesting too, because you have to understand, like, okay, so in a good economy, what would I be charging a little bit more and booked for 7 months? But in a bad economy, I'm charging a few $100s less and I'm booked for 3 months.
Yeah.
So but at the end of the day, somebody in the world is making money that can afford your luxury.
Oh yeah. Well, because that's the thing is we work in a luxury industry.
Yeah, and there's somebody making money even in a bad economic time.
Well, every time there's a huge economic downturn, we end up running into a situation where people buy more luxury goods. Like you saw it during the pandemic.
Yeah.
You know?
And then you got to think about it too. It's like, so a family doesn't go on a 3-week vacation to Hawaii, but they get maybe like wife gets a tattoo, and that's like 1/16 of the budget that would have been for their vacation.
Yeah. Well, and
but that's still the same money in your pocket.
well, and the thing is that tattooing, we used to worry about like the slow season and all of that shit because there were so many people who didn't think tattoos
I never
were
really
cool.
worried about that, I'll be honest.
Right. Well, I think it comes from either where you're at. So in a lot of places where you have low population or you have a impoverished society, that becomes more of an issue. Or if you're working in a university town and you're doing walk-ins or something like that, you worry about, the kids are going away for...
I guess I was kind of lucky to kind of like bypass that.
Well, you not only that, but you're in like one of the most populous areas in the world.
And I was before this.
Yeah.
New York.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. New York.
And then I moved
starting
here.
in New York, you're in a place where there's
so
9
many
million people.
Somebody's winning.
Yeah. There's plenty of money there.
Yeah. Even in a bad time, there's winners.
Yeah,
around.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And you get to the point to where like you get okay. Now we're in the golden age of tattooing to where it is so socially acceptable.
Sure.
I fucking run into people who have regular jobs with fucking face tattoos all the time.
But but then at the same time, there's so many more tattoo artists.
Yeah, I mean,
But you think it's just keeping up with demand, or is it like is it
I think that
oversaturated?
So I don't know if it's oversaturated, but I know it's diluted.
Mm-hmm.
There's a dilution, right?
For sure. But I guess when you hit like a certain top percentile, that dilution is like less effective of you. Maybe.
Yeah. It's a great way to put it is like liquor. You can go out and you can buy Jim Beam, or you can go buy like a nice fucking Lafroig or a really nice fucking, Pappy Van Winkle or Whistle Pig. Those companies are in business because there are people out there who are looking for higher quality. Always.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what's going on.
It's the same thing
Well,
for
that's what I was
tattooing.
saying, because like there's somebody who's always looking for a quality tattoo, a quality meal. It might be less people at that economic time.
Right.
But there's still somebody looking for it.
Well, and I seem to find that, as my clientele has gone up in as far as tax brackets, their tax brackets are higher. They care less about the tattoos and more about the experience.
Yeah.
Because they're expectant of quality, because that's how they live the rest of their life.
Yeah,
They want
quality they already know they were getting. Now
but they want
it's
the
like,
experience.
and that's where I come in, because I feel like that's where I can always offer people that.
Yeah, you're a showman. You're a character. Like that's
Fuck yeah.
That's what.
You want whiskey? I got you. You want this? I got you. You want to watch fucking Theo Von podcast? Probably tattoo. I got you.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm not putting no headphones on and putting my head in the corner. Like I'll take you out to fucking lunch. You want to finish? I'll walk down 6th Street with you and we'll go get a fucking beer.
So like that's where I've put my focus in for the last like 2 or 3 years, opening up the private studio that we have, because we're fortunate.
Is that what you're doing now? You're in a
so we have a private studio in College Station called Hard to Love.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's you and
me, Kara Klink. She does a bunch of fucking dope like anime and new school shit. My buddy Jason Elliott, who you just had Jordy on, right?
I had Jordy.
Yeah. So he's another Ink Master guy. In fact, I think him and Jordy were on the same season. I don't know.
Okay. I feel like I've heard the name, but I don't know.
Very super talented guy, and then Tane Angelo, who does like our traditional stuff. And the cool relationship is so I'm Tane's mentor and Jason is Kara's mentor. So these are both our old apprentices. and we opened up the shop as an LLC, and we're all 4 members. We keep it super clean as far as like you pay your rent. That's all you fucking do. We don't care. You know, go about your lives.
You all kind of do your own thing.
Yeah, we're not doing walk-ins. You have to get buzzed into the fucking building.
I mean, I'm doing the same thing.
Exactly. And this is where I think like that's the way it's supposed to be for upper echelon of clientele.
You're in my little fucking corner over here, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And I provide you with like the vibe.
I got good bedside manner, man. I got like heating pads in my bed, and you know, we got fucking TVs, and we want to make sure people are comfortable, you know, because they're spending so much time there that like, hey, you know, I want it to be the least amount of hassle because I'm gonna fucking hurt you for a while.
My clients become like friends.
Yeah, well, that's I think the evolution of what you want. You have like customers who you tattoo once, then they become clients, and then they eventually become your friends.
Yeah.
And then you feel bad about asking them for money.
Yeah, but that's where you gotta like. That's where you gotta draw the fucking line.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, homie, I gotta go hit at the HEB.
Bro. You're on the 3 years ago fucking pay scale here, bro. You know.
Yeah, I still gotta eat. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. And you know, granted, it's one of those, you know, unique situations to where everybody thinks we're cool. Yeah. Even though like most of the guys that I'm really good friends with, like they're huge dorks.
They're not
like,
cool.
We're nerds. We're nerds, but like our job is cool.
Yeah.
And we take something really serious that is the silliest gig in the world.
Yeah.
Like if you
drawing fucking like you said to start off the episode.
Yeah.
What do you say? I don't
we
forget.
We color for a living.
Yeah, so you said you color for a living.
Dude, I have the dream job of a 6-year-old.
It is pretty fucking cool though.
Yeah, that's why I take the job really seriously, but not myself.
Yeah.
Because the job is cool because it's like if you want to get like poetic about it, we've got this like millennial long dialogue of human history because we've been tattooing each other longer than we've had cities, longer than religion has existed.
Yeah.
But on the other end is like sometimes you have to tattoo a girl's ass and you put, you know, USDA choice on it, and it's like there's nothing poetic about it, but it's fun.
You've been tattooing for a while. Have you ever tattooed a girl's asshole?
Okay. I've never tattooed an asshole. I used to tattoo a lot of strippers. We used to say this all the time that like tattooers and strippers are like brothers and sisters. We live a very similar lifestyle. So I've tattooed a lot of vag.
Okay, so you have like right on it?
As close as you can get, you know, as close as you can get to where you're, you know.
These are the questions I really want to know.
Yeah. You know, Jason's tattooed some dicks before. I've never really gone down that line.
Yeah.
You know, there was a time where, you know, I was the last person that you wanted to tattoo your asshole or your dick. I used to take myself too seriously, and also on top of that, like I used to, when people were a pain in the ass or they wanted something stupid, it was a money and a pain thing would come in. Like you gotta pay twice, like because it's like it's gonna be more expensive. Yeah. And I'm gonna give zero fucks about how you feel. Put a little extra green soap in that bottle, you know.
Right. Make them fucking sting a little.
Yeah. Well, I think it's because I had such a a hard on for all of these real, like what I thought were real tattooers.
Oh,
you know.
Oh, so you were trying to cling very hard to like tattoo principles.
Not just principles, but I would find targets. I call them like compasses. People were pointing me in the right direction.
Right.
And so like I was like, oh, you know, Philip Blue isn't fucking tattooing fucking white fucking assholes.
And you're like, I'm gonna do it.
It's like I'm gonna be
because I'm just gonna rip it and grip it.
Yeah.
So where was the transition for you? Like where? Because at that point you said you were taking yourself too seriously. But you think
travel.
So you just met a bunch of different people and saw a bunch of different perspectives, and because of that, you were able to like kind of come to this conclusion.
100%. I met a lot of people that I had looked up to, you know, and I because of being a social person, being a social butterfly, kind of getting along with everybody. I never had that instance of like starstruck or getting overwhelmed or something like that. So I was always able to kind of like sit and have real conversations with these people. And we all make up these different ideas of who this person is before we meet them. And so you have these expectations shattered about like, this guy must do this and he must take this shit so seriously and this, that, and the other.
Because you're like interjecting your own like way of thinking into somebody before you even like know who they are.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I started meeting them, and then I had so many barriers broken of like, oh, this motherfucker doesn't do this at all. And I was like, I think I'm doing it wrong. I'm taking this shit like I'm taking myself way too seriously, you know, when it comes to that.
So you eventually kind of come around and you start saying like, wait, I should just like lighten up about all this.
I tried to, but it was more so instead of trying to be like somebody else, I was like, I just need to be as authentic as I can, because that's something that like nobody's gonna really be able to copy.
Yeah, damn, that's like that alone. That's like the most powerful ass shit I ever heard.
Yeah,
because like, yeah, if you're just you, there ain't no other you.
yeah, it's just like what you were talking about earlier. Is the AI can't replace you,
Yeah,
Bobby,
yeah,
because
yeah.
you're
Fuck
fucking
yeah.
Bobby. You know
Let's
what I
go.
mean?
Yeah, that's the coolest shit I ever heard.
You know, so it's
Absolutely.
one of those long lessons.
That's like, but some people never learn that lesson.
Yeah, but they're the people who are always clout chasing. They're star fucking. Like I have people that I know in the industry. I won't name names who are like. Their whole shtick has always been like, what's the newest trend, or how can I get this, you know?
And all they need to do is make this small shift to just be like, wait, what do I like?
Yeah, what do you want to do?
But you know what that takes? You to understand who you are.
Yeah.
And
that's a lot of that.
That's not about tattooing.
No, that's just like a life
That's just
lesson.
some people shit, dude.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of it was like, you know, I had gone through a lot as a kid growing up in a crazy neighborhood. But like I never had any real hard challenges as an adult because this job gives you everything.
So you had hard challenges as a kid.
Yeah.
You were growing up in a city on the border of Mexico.
A lot of gang violence.
And
I saw a lot of dead bodies.
You were
and shit.
identified as white in a gang violence-ridden city.
Yeah.
And you were the minority.
Yeah.
A bunch of Hispanic
I used to have
kids.
to be the one to talk to the cops all the time, Bobby.
Right.
They're like,
but you still,
white boy, go talk to
But
the
you
cops.
still, even that might have actually in a way wedged you away from the realization that you mentioned before, maybe because you were like defending against it.
Yeah, well, I felt a lot, you know, when I think back about it, a lot of what I was trying to do was fit into a space that I didn't belong.
Yeah, so you weren't actually being your truest, authentic self.
Right.
Even though you were, you actually were doing the opposite. Like you thought you might have been, but you were actually doing the opposite.
And a lot of it was just like defense mechanism.
Yeah.
Like I needed to be a lot tougher. Like I've learned as I got older, like I'm soft as baby shit. Like I used to think I was such a tough guy. I used to say this to myself all the time. It's like, I don't do any drugs that are harder than me, so I do all the drugs. You know, and now it's like, all right, I'm good.
Yeah, isn't it so interesting, man?
Yeah, well, it's a lot of it is like I was young. There was a little bit of survival involved. It was exciting. I don't know that it was fun, but it was exciting to be in those dangerous environments.
No, there's no way. I think when you're, I say this to a bunch of people, and they always ask me like, because I started getting faster at tattooing in the last like 3 months.
Yeah,
like, I might have doubled my speed. It's weird. It came out of nowhere.
Oh, you got to teach me that trick.
I used to be slow, and I became fast. I was finished. I had a dude come here for a day session the other day, and I finished by 7 o'clock at night, and we started at 2. And he's like, bro, you covered 3 times the amount of ground you ever did since we started doing all this.
You know, I started feeling a little bit of that. And you know what the craziest thing, at least for me, was?
What's that?
I stopped caring as much.
Yeah, but I would say I stopped caring, but it's almost like I started caring more.
Well, I stopped. I guess I should preface that. I stopped caring about like all of the unessential bullshit that I used to put into the process.
Exactly.
I was like, I just need to get this fucking done. Like, I need to get it in and move.
But I felt like even deeper, one level deeper, I started caring about myself. Like, it sounds so stupid.
100%.
It's almost like it's literally just like your relationship to you.
Well, because so much of what we do is based on, even if we get to do whatever we want, even if we get carte blanche, which you never really get, like, you know,
as long as you're collaborating with somebody, you're always kind of...
You feel like this obligation, and then I think you get to a certain level of maturity, or something happens in your life where you're like, no, I got to fucking do this for me. I am wasting my own time. They're here because they want to be here. I'm only doing this, you know, because I need to get it done. But before, I was like, well, it all has to be part of this process, and there's so much thinking involved.
I cut all that out, and I was just like, wait, I know what I want to do. Dude wants a Black Panther with pink fucking glowing on it. I know what I got to do.
Right.
So I don't need to, like, it's almost like there was like this narcissistic thing in the way where I'm like thinking by being slower, I was like doing more for him. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
it's
no,
like hard
100%.
to explain almost.
But
it's like, here's a mass of black. Why don't I just make it black right now?
Well, we want to. It's the imposter syndrome thing. I want to add value to the experience.
But you think you're adding value. You know how you're adding value by just doing it.
Yeah. Well, and it's this weird thing of like, I only had this realization maybe like a year ago, but it's like, it's more valuable to get it done faster.
Yeah.
It's worth more because you're getting more done in a shorter amount of time, which means they're going through less pain and they get to have a fucking cool tattoo.
Yeah.
And I get to go home
and then
at a decent hour.
I started omitting a bunch of details. Like, say there was a black mass, and in that black mass was like these like few like off-tone gray things. Like
that are like 1 value or 2 value tones higher, and you're like, it's not necessary.
What am I doing, bro?
Yeah.
When it heals, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, I started doing that actually with paintings.
With everything.
Because I used to be like hyper detailed into the oil painting shit, and now I want shit to scream at people that it's a fucking painting from across a room. So
I went to the Met not too long ago and like looked at some paintings by like Pollock, and you see that texture on Rogan's beard to the right.
Yeah.
I took a paintbrush and dipped it in that color and went,
yep,
nuts.
That's all you got to do most
of the time. And before that, I used to zoom in on each hair, and then I just started making a shaking motion. And I was like, wait, I just achieved the whole beard. And I was like, what am I doing?
So, like, I talked to a buddy of mine who's a mentor outside of tattooing. He's a professional painter. He's still an anomaly to me because I'm like, for some reason, I have this such a big separation on painting and tattooing as far as like making a living. Whereas like paintings have resale value. You can hang them on a wall. It's not something that dies with the client or is something that'll get covered up.
Actually, but not to pause you here, but people say tattooing is permanent. For me, it's the least permanent.
It's the least
art.
permanent. You can fucking laser it off now.
It's literally the least permanent art on Earth.
You're going to die.
Yeah.
You're going to die.
Every tattoo you ever did will be gone.
Yeah, 100%.
Every painting you did could live forever.
Exactly. So I was talking to him about it, and he goes, you need to paint with intention, but you just need to suggest what you're trying to say. It's like you don't need to spell out every fucking syllable.
But why don't we apply that to tattoos?
Because there's all of this dogma and rules about what you're supposed to do.
They're not true.
And it's not true. It's not true. I'm getting a little buzz now. I'm feeling warm and fuzzy over here. I'm feeling good.
Fuck yeah, bro. I had someone refer to this as like not my podcast, but more like my therapy couch.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I wonder if you've had this experience where you've put somebody on the microphone and you've watched their personality change completely.
Yeah, by about an hour in, everyone loosens up. Yeah. I usually give them brown liquor, though.
Yeah, you get them warm and fuzzy. I'd have been a chatty Cathy regardless, but it's nice because this is... How many times do you have a long-form conversation with somebody?
And with your phone away?
It's very rare.
Yeah,
right?
That's why I like the headphones kind of locks you in.
Yeah. That was one of my favorite things about doing the podcast is like you could actually have like a real good brainstorming
When's the last
session.
time you just talked to anyone for like a few hours straight with no distractions?
And not trying to get pussy?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I don't have a pussy, so I'm just saying.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like, you remember when you were dating girls when you were real young and you would like fall asleep on the phone talking to them?
Oh, hell yeah.
You know what I mean? That wonderful puppy love feeling.
Yeah, that's great.
And the only reason you were doing that is because you were hoping that she was going to get you home.
Fuck yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas like now... we want everything to be short and sweet.
Yeah. Well, that's like the internet kind of did that,
Well, and even like my favorite thing about tattooing, and it's also my least favorite thing about it, it's like a double-edged sword, is the fact that like I can't do it virtually. I have to sit with a human.
Yeah.
Very rarely, maybe once or twice a year do I run into somebody to where it's like, I've got to disconnect from this person so I can get this job done. And it's never because they're so engaging. It's more so like I had a guy come in and try to, bring me to the Church of Flat Earth. And he got through this 30-minute rant. And I was like, you know what, man, you've given me a lot to think about. I'm going to put my headphones on so that I can like concentrate. But that almost never happens.
Yeah.
But
sometimes the Flat Earth guys are like, I'm pretty open-minded, but those are the ones that throw me for a little bit of a loop. Like,
I have such a short fuse for like voluntary ignorance. Like if you're doing it on purpose to be ignorant, like it's so infuriating. It's such a pet peeve. Whereas, you know, if you want to talk about like other crazy shit, aliens, JFK
Oh,
assassination, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah. You lose me on the flat Earth.
Yeah, but that's like kind of my line, and I'm like,
same. That is my line.
I'm like, I can't fucking like sit here and tattoo you and think about how much I hate you
and I'm
right
still
now.
not closed off to it, but I'm 99.9 closed. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, I always leave openness for anything.
Right. Well,
But
so,
that's just for anything. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. Well,
I'm not going to say I know.
What exactly?
But I'm just saying that, like, I don't know that I, like, love the idea, but, you know, there's still a 0.1, you know, I'll give you that.
For me, it's like, you know, if an asteroid was going to hit the Earth, right? I'm not going to panic. Mm-hmm. You know why? Because I can't fucking do anything about it.
You have no control.
I have no control.
Yeah.
If the Earth is flat, I don't really fucking care. Until like Neil deGrasse Tyson comes out and goes like, "Hey guys,
it's almost
the ice wall is real.
It's
the
almost
Earth is
not
flat."
worth caring about. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like you are evaluating the like almost like the return on investment.
Well, it feels very religious. You know, when people are trying to preach like, you know, join my team.
Yeah.
Like, think about it this way.
Well, it's almost like a level of like narcissism or something. Or
or they want to be on the in. They're like, oh, I was one of the first dudes to think that the Earth was flat.
And it's like, even if you're right,
so
is it affecting me today?
No.
Yeah, so then...
It's how I feel about politics, too.
Yeah, I honestly, man, it took me a little while to get there. I don't give a fuck about politics now. I did, but I don't.
So did I. I just never want to know who the Secretary of Education is ever again. I don't want to know people's names.
Bro, I unfollowed any political thing on all my social medias. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. It's like it does.
You know
not
when I didn't
affect
give
me.
a fuck again? When I was a kid. And you know how I felt when I was a kid?
Happy.
Yeah.
Happy.
So that's how I feel now, and I don't give a fuck.
Well, and that's why, like, as much as I, like, joke around about, like, the dream job of a 6-year-old, that's why I think tattooing, or just being a creative in general, you know, because I'm in this weird transition of my career to where most of the projects I'm doing are large-scale projects. A lot of the stuff is always in progress, and they take so long to finish. You're doing back paces, fucking sleeves and shit.
Yeah.
I get super jealous of all of these people putting out dope bangers all the time, and I'm like,
that's not usually me. 2-3 sessions minimum.
And now I'm getting more into the fine art stuff, to where, you know, I'm finally moving paintings.
Well, you paint a lot.
I paint a lot, and I paint quickly.
Oh, do you paint quickly? I paint so slow, but I got quicker.
Yeah.
I started using acrylic for this one. And that was the fastest I ever painted.
Yeah. Acrylic is...
I love acrylic now, by the way.
I've had such a hard time with acrylic.
For me, it makes
oil.
so much sense, but it looks like oil.
Yeah,
if I were to turn the light on.
Well, it's very painterly.
Yeah, but I'm starting to learn I could do the same thing with it.
Well, so it's for me, I don't have anything against, like, I don't look at like a finished acrylic painting and a finished oil painting and I put more value on one or the other. It's all about the end product. I really care about that more than anything, but for me personally, I romanticize about the oil painting thing. You know, there's something about it that I like, that is part of my process of, like, you know, it's such an old thing, and I have this nostalgia for a place that I've never been, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I like the difficulties of the medium.
Mm-hmm. Oh, same.
You know, so
I always did.
I've adapted a lot of my process to making it efficient and faster. And I've tried to become a lot looser. You know, I used to paint super tight and try to make everything as not photographic, but very, very rendered.
Yeah.
And
me too.
It started coming to the point where it was like, you know, I kept having people come up and like, oh, it looks like a photograph, and it started driving me crazy.
I literally get exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
You see, that tentacle ass shit was the first time I ever just let loose.
Yeah, got a little loose.
Dude, I cried when I painted that because I was just in here in a weird state. And it was the first time in my life I just painted.
Yeah.
I had no
reference.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And I did that.
It's like jazz.
I did that in an hour. And by the way, that same week I painted that was the first time I went to a jazz club. Actually, and I've been going here every week now.
Dude, you are such a fucking white guy.
Dude.
I'm just
what do you want me to do?
I'm just joking. No, that's beautiful.
No, but I started to understand.
Yeah.
I'm actually happy you said that because I started getting into jazz too.
I'm a huge jazz fan. I got a buddy of mine who got me into gypsy jazz, and then it just went off from there. And now I know contemporary jazz artists.
For this shit.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Austin's a great city for music, but especially like niche music.
Bruh.
You know, you're gonna run into so many.
I
good
started
things.
understanding the same thing, and I was like, who gives a fucking shit?
So it's, you know, a lot of what I've learned is that, like, having that painterly style gives me enough to where I can suggest and it still reads correctly.
Yeah.
But it's also there's a lot more intention on thinking about individual brushstrokes. So I have this whole thing of like economy of brushstrokes. I want to put my brush down the least amount of times that I possibly can.
I never even thought about that. That's cool.
That's
so cool because sometimes I'll like overwork some shit. Not overwork it, but like go over it again and change. But that's what we do with tattooing already. So that ideology would probably be easy to translate to a painting because we do that with tattoos already.
Well, and that's what attracted me to painting in the first place. Is so like I didn't go to school for art until after I started tattooing. It wasn't until I was like 2010. I was like, I got to put some more tools.
You were
in my
just like a
tool belt.
street banger from El Paso.
Yeah, dude, Chicano style black and gray and fucking old school traditional.
And if I don't do this, I ain't gonna do nothing. So I better get in there.
And I took a seminar. Somebody was talking about painting. I was like, I want to learn more about that.
Nick Baxter? Or something?
No, Jeff Gogway.
Okay, Jeff Gogway. Yeah, same kind of a
same level of early 2000s tattoo fucking god that you're just like, oh fuck.
Yeah, because I had that book given to me by my mentor. Was that Nick Baxter painting like a tattooer or some shit? I forget what it was called.
It's so funny the way he's kind of stuck with his style, but Jeff Ensminger, who was doing the same kind of shit, who was like, nah, I'm gonna go back to traditional. This shit doesn't stick. Because there's limitations to our medium, of course. But so I got into the to the painting thing, and I was like, well, I really want to learn how to do this. And I went to school and wasted a lot of money. Like you can get even then, before like YouTube took over to where you could learn everything on YouTube, you could find a much better, much more fulfilling education going and getting private lessons or going and learning from somebody. But I started leaning into that, made my tattoos better, gave me a place to experience and experiment with color because I was doing so much black and gray and Chicano style stuff because I was in El Paso. I was like, I want to learn color more. And then it only happened until, it took me 10 years of fucking painting basically before I was like, okay, I've learned how to speak the language. Now I want to say something. So now I'm creating shit that is non-representational. All the stuff that I was creating before, like this past year, was all pictures of something. I would hire a model or I would take a skull and I would just paint it. Whereas now I'm like creating characters. It's kind of like how we were talking about, like you can go in and you can light something in your mind because you've learned how to do that. Now I know what like a woman's face is supposed to look like, or I know how to make fabric look that way. So I don't need reference for it.
Yeah. And even if you have reference, you can like change the
exactly.
reference. Or manipulate it however you need.
And it's become fun. And I'm starting to see like a little light at the end of the tunnel of like, oh, this could be a source of income because I'm starting to like actually sell paintings and stuff. That's a whole nother weird world of navigating. It's just like trying to figure out how to charge for a tattoo when you really, that first time when you're like, hey, it's going to be like $2,000 today, and you spit that out of your mouth, and you're just sitting there bracing, waiting for them to fucking say something.
Yeah. But then you do that at first, and then eventually you're just like, it's fucking $2,000.
Yeah, it's $2,500, my dear.
You get comfy after. Yeah. It's like everything else, man. It's like every step in life.
Yeah. And it's cool, because I'm trying to be the first of a generation of tattooers who can see like an actual retirement from tattooing, to where like I could be an old guy painting and fishing, hell yeah. and tattoo these big projects and kind of like cut it down. How many days a week are you working now?
I like the number 4 is good.
Yeah, that's me too. 4 is good.
4 should be, it's more than enough.
Yeah, it gives me enough time to like put people's shit together and also do the other stuff that I need to do.
Yeah, 4 sounds like a good number. And then if somebody cancels, you get 3.
Yeah, which is a nice week sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. Or you squeeze someone in and you get 5.
So what else do you do like outside of tattooing?
Well, I'm kind of like reestablishing my life actually right now. So, but what I like to do outside of tattooing, on my day off, man, I love to just get on my motorcycle. And just go hit like a coffee shop, like just chilling. I like doing a lot of like music. I like concerts.
Well, because you have a lot of entertainment that you go hit around here too, so that's like a cool.
Yeah, but I always liked that because we were in the New York metro area before that, so it's like concerts, like music festivals. Sometimes I'll paint.
Painting is a hard thing for me to look at as a hobby for a tattooer because it's kind of even though
it's like work more.
It is work.
Yeah, video gaming was a big thing for me, but it's like for the first time in my life, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, it's so weird. How long ago did that happen for you? Mine's only happened within like the last 6 months.
I stopped video gaming maybe like 4 months ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn, we're like on this. Our menstruation is synced up right
Yeah,
now.
we're almost on like the wavelength.
Yeah. Ooh, nice plug.
Yeah, no, but it's true. That's why I named it that. But anyway, so yeah, I was playing like Escape from Tarkov, Call of Duty, Valorant.
Dude,
all
Escape
those
for
games.
Tarkov is the most edgelord grubby.
I think that it's the
hardcore
best
shit.
game ever made.
I get that you think it's the best game ever made.
Not the best game ever made, but I think that it's like
it's so real.
it's so insane.
Well, it's also crazy. It is crazy.
I've been in a building with garbage everywhere, and I leaned out with no gear on and killed a guy who was covered in gear, and I looted him and got out, and I was like, "What the fuck?" Like,
Yeah.
it felt like real goddamn life.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it's the only game that I ever played that got my heart racing. Into
You got to
my
play
jaw.
Rust.
I never played Rust, but I played a game
It's the
during
most
COVID
toxic.
called Last Oasis. That was like similar to that.
Yeah, survival kind of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rust is one of those things to where it's like the most toxic environment in the world, but
Yeah,
there are
all
those
good-
little
all
wins.
games are like that,
There's
yeah.
these little wins like when you fucking blow up somebody's shit and you take all their shit
Yeah.
and you feel good about yourself.
Yeah, is that like a game you need to like build up like for example, Last Oasis you need to get like arrows, but then you need to like build a thing to be able to make arrows, and then when you make arrows, you need to get this ingredient to make flaming arrows.
Yeah, it's very convoluted like that. Exactly. It's
And
exactly the
just,
same.
all those games, those games are like maddening.
Yeah.
Do you ever
Yeah.
play League of Legends?
Okay, so
That's a toxic fucking game.
I have never played it, and I feel good about myself
Yeah,
for never
that
playing
is
it.
good, yeah.
Because everybody I've talked to who plays League are like, it's the fucking worst shit ever. And
Or
then
I had someone tell me they hope my mother gets cancer.
so I watched it. I watched somebody play where they're playing like single lane.
Yeah. Top.
Yeah.
Or mid.
Well, there's that game mode to where instead of it being
ARAM.
ARAM, yeah. I was watching people play ARAM, and I was like, this is like I'm listening to you bitch for 2.5 hours about how other people don't know how to fucking play, and it doesn't seem like you're having fun. And they're just cursing at people about like, oh, you fucking idiot, why aren't you doing this and why aren't you doing that? And I'm like, this doesn't seem like fun. I'm even like when I was playing Call of Duty, and this may be because I was like so into playing like single player, or not single player, but original multiplayer before Warzone and all that shit.
Me and
came
my
out.
buddies play gunfights.
Yeah,
2-on-2s.
2-on-2 gunfight.
Bro.
I love gunfight. That.
I'm about to get your fucking gamer
Oh,
tag.
dog, we will actually play. So I play ranked when I was playing because I'm like a fucking.
I'll play ranked anything.
Yeah.
I'm a ranked fucking junkie.
So,
because
okay,
if there's
we
no
are the
rank to
same.
gain, I don't want to play.
We are the
I play
same.
everything ranked. Overwatch ranked. Call of Duty ranked.
Well, because I don't want to be bad at something.
No,
if
no,
I'm gonna
no, no.
play, I'm
I
gonna
play-
fucking play.
I play ranked.
I'm gonna play. You know,
Yeah.
I'm gonna play.
No,
fun.
I'm a ranked fucking junkie.
Yeah.
I
So,
want repercussions.
so like I got into Warzone a little bit, but it's like,
Yeah.
there's too much shit going on.
No, I like the regular Call of Duty rank, the 4-on-4.
4-on-4 is beautiful.
Do you play the new one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I played it pretty hard. Yeah.
Dude. Okay, so season.
Why don't I have all your games?
Yeah, season 2 was the last season that I
Yeah.
played. I got up to like fucking diamond, and I was like, I'm out. I was like, I don't want to drop
Yeah.
rank.
Did you play Overwatch at all?
I dabbled in Overwatch a little bit, so I go through these spurts of where like I get really into games and then I drop out.
No, I know.
And I get really into games and I drop out. And like when all my homies were getting really into Overwatch, I was like, I gotta step away.
I know what you're talking
I was
about.
like, I feel like I got sores on my ass from sitting around for fucking 12 hours a day playing a video game.
Do you play World of Warcraft at all?
No, and I'm so happy I didn't because I love
I'm happy you didn't.
MMO. Like I love that
Dude, the
play
arena,
style.
the arena in that game, forget it.
Yeah.
It's wild.
And and it was so funny because I was so keyed into the gamer culture that I remember the old WoW videos of like a clan breaking up like a funeral that they were having inside
Yeah,
WoW,
I know.
and like
I was
watch
probably there.
like you know what I mean. So it's like I'm watching all this stuff. I still like
Yeah.
consume it, but like
No, 'cause
I
you-
never
yeah,
got
yeah,
into it.
no.
Most of the time, like if I had to say, like what I threw a lot of time into.
Yeah,
was,
what's your most played game?
Skyrim's an easy one to say.
See, I'm so different from you. I don't play any one player open world. It's only multiplayer.
But like my most played game would be Call of Duty. I've been
me too.
I've been a hardcore Call of
Yeah.
Duty kid for.
I played every Call of Duty. Yeah.
And I have a hard time. So I can play a single player adventure game, but I can't play like a lot of the single player shooter games.
But I don't play any of those.
Yeah.
I want online competitive with ranked.
Yeah. Okay. I feel you. So you got like a strong competitive
Valorant.
streak.
Did you play that?
Valorant. I played a little bit of Valorant.
Bro,
it's
like that one.
it's CS:GO.
CS:GO,
yeah.
but with a little more like the moves. And
Yeah,
all that shit.
it's got some style. It's got some skins, some stylization.
and you can make some plays in that
Yeah,
game.
yeah.
You really.
But
could.
see, that was my shit of why I like playing Call of Duty. Is like I loved making the play.
We were COD kids too.
You
dude.
know,
Yeah.
it's like we would be playing Search and Destroy, and if I could
Search and Destroy is my favorite.
dude, if I could like I 1v4 people all the fucking time.
Me and my friends would look for those moments.
Like it takes.
We
a
have
lot.
videos of that shit. I love that shit.
So
I know what you mean.
speaking of
Search
that-
and Destroy is our jam. Dude.
Yeah, it's so
and
good.
then we used to play hardcore Search and Destroy.
Yeah,
yeah.
This is just one tap.
Love
motherfucker.
that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I liked Escape from Tarkov so much.
Oh, because it's so real. So it takes a lot for me to put up like the shit that I do outside of tattooing on my pages and stuff. Painting, tattooing, I kind of look at the same, so I put that up there a lot. But like, I'm an avid fisherman. I really don't post too much about like that shit. And then gaming. But like, I've had a couple plays where like I gotta sneak this into my fucking story or onto my feed because I've had some fucking nasty plays.
Well, I was doing the streaming during COVID. And I caught a couple Warzone wins, and I would put the clips up and shit. You know what I mean? Like, we even played Fortnite with the no building mode. For a while.
Yeah. See,
that's fun.
I could get into Fortnite if these motherfuckers weren't building.
No, building. It's not my generation, dude. Yeah, I get behind the wall. I don't build a wall.
Yeah,
you know
fuck all that. Where does all this shit come from? You just magically shitting out fucking walls?
It's not my style.
But it's one of those things to where I think it still feeds that little inner kid of like, I want to be competitive and I want to shit on people. And Call of Duty's great for that because you can, you have video proof of like play the game or like last kill. It's like, I want to see that shit.
I love that shit.
Or doing some just really nasty shit when like you play against people who like think they're in the know.
My buddy Casey's nuts. His gaming name is Yokai. And he would do like we used to call it yokai mode. He like moves his gun around like an asshole, like in figure eights and slides. Yeah. And he'll like come out of a door, but he gets like over fancy with it. But when he hits, there's like no one like it. Like he's nuts. Like
So what kind of player are you? So
I'm more of like
I snipe a lot.
I snipe a lot too, but I'm chill. I like step back and take but I try to be composed. But I still like get the win. But then my friend is all nuts, slides around, but he's sick too. You know what I mean?
So I started playing with like a few streamers. I got a buddy out in San Antonio who streams, and so I was playing with some people who were playing competitively, like at a professional level, and doing shit like that. And a lot of these guys are so keyed in on like. It doesn't matter if it looks good, but I need to get the job done. Yeah. Whereas like I've always loved throwing a little steez.
My friend Casey's all steez.
Yeah.
I'm like, it doesn't look good, but like kind of like get it done. That's just like, but
Yeah, I mean, video games have always been like a big part. The only shooter game that I've like played that's a one player that I really got into was the new Doom series that came out.
I didn't play it.
It was the most edge of my seat. I think one of the reasons why I stopped playing a lot of single player games is they're not hard. It's like when I was playing it when I was a kid and you played like even just like Super Mario or some of those early games, like they were difficult.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like somebody was holding my hand.
My
through the whole
favorite
thing.
game when I was a kid was Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong was dope. I played a shitload of Dino Crisis.
That shit just resonated with me. Remember Joe and Mac or whatever on like Super Nintendo?
Oh my god, dog! I haven't thought about that fucking game.
Dude, that shit was my jam.
It's blowing my mind. It's like me and a buddy of mine were talking about Paperboy the other day, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
I always been playing games, dude. I love that shit.
It was a good like escape. And like now I look at games and I like put them in like two categories of like it's going to be an adventure game like God of War, or it needs to be something that its roots go back to like GoldenEye 007.
Dude, GoldenEye 007. So me and all my little homies were playing this shit with my older brother, who was like 6 years older than us.
My older brother's 8 years older
and
than
he
me.
knew all the spawn points and shit. So he's like, but he was like just more developed in his brain.
Yeah.
So we used to play like No Odd Job, paintball mode.
Yeah. If you were Jaws, you're a dickhead.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
There's no reason to be him.
Yeah, but like my brother would still be him and own us. Like,
Yeah,
and he
that
would
was-
be up in the bathroom ducks, like with
Oh
fucking,
my
and we would play
God.
DK mode with the big heads. Remember that shit?
I was always just like throwing fucking remote mines and
Yeah.
blowing them up in
Yeah.
air.
Yeah.
So we had a N64, but we only had 3 controllers, but we had the steering wheel. My brother was such a dickhead that he would play with the steering wheel and still fucking murk us.
We had this controller. You know how like the N64 controller had like the extra like the
side little wings.
we
on
had
the
one that
boomerang.
didn't have it, and it had the middle one, but the top was just like a straight across. And we used to call it the Polish controller because we were from an Italian neighborhood in New Jersey. So if you use that controller,
You fucking Polak.
yeah, because it was like just because like growing up in like a Italian part of New Jersey, like the Polish just took the brunt.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we just call it the Polish controller because it was like stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then my brother
You
used
don't
to
even
play-
got all the fucking buttons.
and
You're
we
not
used to play,
ergonomic.
yeah, we used to play rock paper scissors shoot. We used to have to use the Polish controller.
I don't want that Polak shit.
And this was after a game of wiffle ball outside.
Oh, man.
You know what I mean? And then
Fucking wiffle ball, dude. Oh, my God.
dude, my riser was unhittable, dude.
Dude, nobody down here fucking plays wiffle ball.
Nah, they don't fucking know.
That's
Oh,
like,
but
no,
because you grew up in Mass.
Yeah. We fucking played the fuck out of wiffle ball.
Yeah, but dude, we played wiffle ball on my front steps. We used to, if you hit it over the
People
street.
don't know what stoops are.
Because it's not like a
It's
stoop
not a
culture.
thing here.
Yeah, so we'd have a bunch of bikes on my lawn, and the kid would pitch from the street to my front steps. And if you hit the curb on a grounder, it was a double. You hit it over the curb, it was a triple. But if you hit it over the opposing sidewalk, it was a home
Home
run.
run.
But you
Yeah.
could still catch a home run.
Yeah. I like the street rules. Street rules.
Dude, I got to take a fucking piss. I
Yeah,
don't know
take a
about you.
piss, take a
we'll
piss.
take a quick break?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool. We're back.
And we're back. So you've become have you always been a big comedy fan?
Yes,
Yeah.
always. So I went to my first comedy show when I was like 13. My mom's boyfriend at the time took me to see Jim Norton.
No shit.
Banan-
What a person to see.
Fuck yeah, bro. And it shaped who I was going forward for the rest of my
just a woman hater. I'm just,
Yeah.
just fucking around.
No, that's not possible because I was raised mostly by my mom.
Yeah,
And my
yeah.
sister was my favorite person.
Yeah.
So I always actually loved women more.
Yeah, it's interesting,
Yeah.
right? Because I was raised by 2 really powerful women, and
Me
it gets,
too, yeah.
gives you like a complete different sense
Yeah.
of like,
And I know how to speak with women and,
Mm-hmm.
and treat women.
yep.
But then I still have like enough masculineness.
You got
in
enough
me.
douchebag in you that
Yeah,
like,
but that's good. They like that a little too.
yeah, because we like bitches.
Yeah.
Like I don't want you to be a cunt all the time.
Yeah.
But if you can flex your cunt every once in a while, I'm like, hey, that's
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
hot. That's
exactly.
pretty hot.
It's like
pretty
a- like
hot.
a nice-
Not at me, at somebody else mostly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so you know, who's like your favorite comedy styling? Like who kind of speaks to you? I got a couple guys. Like, you know, Theo is one of them that I like.
Theo Vaughn is larger than life, man.
I just love that he's so unbelievably believable.
He's
like,
the best.
No matter what he says, like he's got all these Theo-isms. And
Theo Vaughn, Tim Dillon.
Tim Dillon's great.
These are all my favorite currently. Theo Vaughn, Tim Dillon. I really like Chris DiStefano right now.
Oh yeah. Chrissy D.
I
Chrissy
think
D's
he's like
great.
really on right now.
Chrissy D's really good.
Giannis Papas I really
yeah,
like.
yeah.
I relate to him on like the New York thing. And this is just currently. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It changes.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
a Bill Burr guy for a while. Not so much like now, but I still always like respect him. Sebastian Maniscalco.
Sebastian's.
I mean, I just love all comedy for what it is. Tony Hinchcliffe is my #1 favorite comedian.
Tony's great. Just I think he's got
David Lucas too. I really like.
he's got really sharp knives. Tony's really good.
Yeah, but I like him because I love his like real assholeness.
yeah.
And I like his like and I've spent so much time seeing him and being around his stuff that I started to like get it. Like it's so deep and dark and sharp that it's like not even popular.
How hard is it to get into that club?
Not so hard.
No.
No, not if you get anything you want, you know.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, I've been there quite a bunch, you know. But yeah, I mean, I mean, depending if you're just buying tickets or whatever, you just gotta get it quick, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, interesting. I mean, like, you know,
I could probably, you know.
I think everybody, like, Chappelle is, like, of course, he's the GOAT,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
in a lot of ways. But he's never, like, it's never been somebody that I've, like,
Me too.
I identify
I feel
with,
that same way.
You know, but I
Yeah.
think he's brilliant.
Of course.
You know, I'm...
I like Tony because I was at like a live show here, and he did this outdoor show. He came late. He was supposed to be the headliner, and then he came on second out of like 10 comedians. And he's like, what is this fucking gig? He's like, I agreed to this shit when I was drunk. Why am I even here? And then he ripped everything, and then like some dude had his phone out, and he's like literally ripped him and called him like all these derogatory terms, and he's like, and he was serious.
Yeah.
And he's like, what are you gonna do, you fucking bitch? He's like, when I get out of here, I'm gonna shimmy past you and get in my Corvette. And he was calling him like all these bad like terms like I can't even say on here. And then he just like left. And I was like, that was like real. Like it was like crazy. Like how like this guy just don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like it was like dark. Like it was like kind of dope. But like I felt like I like him because he's like so that way. He's never gonna be so like he almost like is so true to being such an asshole that he can't really be like in my opinion like the most popular.
Right.
So I kind of like that, but then there's some really good popular comedians I like, but I know that they have to like take a path to get popularity.
Like somebody that I like identify with pretty heavy is like Segura.
Well, Segura's like the most he's and his wife too.
Like Christina's
they're
great.
Like they're so good.
I just like I identify with him a lot, like with being raised by a foreigner in the house and having these weird quirky things and like military father, all of that kind of weird shit.
He's one of the greats.
Yeah. And so him, Tom.
Joey Diaz, I saw live. I saw him in New Jersey in a small club before I moved. Bruh.
I can only imagine. Dude. Seeing him on his home turf.
Dude, I saw him in New Jersey when he first moved there.
Point
Pleasant, New Jersey at Vinny Comedy Club during COVID. And they had a loophole. You had to buy a ticket for dinner. It was when places were 50% capacity. It wasn't a comedy club. It was a restaurant. But it was a comedy club, but they got catered food.
Yeah.
And he came in there, and bro, he destroyed.
I've heard that, like, seeing Joey fucking come in and fucking
Dude, the place was a little bit bigger than this room. I never seen anything like I couldn't even breathe.
Yeah.
It was nuts.
I would love.
He didn't even have comedy, bro. He was just talking.
But those are the guys that I like. Guys who can go up and just hold court.
Yeah, that was him.
Good.
Yeah,
I'm great. There's a few guys that like I like some intellectual comedy. There's Eddie Izzard, who is like
I never even heard of him.
So he's a British dude who he used to cross dress a lot and shit like that. But he was very intellectual with what he was saying. So a lot of his jokes you had to think about. So it wasn't like just bang 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 punchlines on a rhythm. But I don't know. I've been into comedy forever, since Eddie Murphy Delirious on up, and it's weird because it's one of those things that like I think I like love the craft of storytelling, but like with levity, and then all of these motherfuckers are broken in some way. They're all damaged,
broken. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. You're like one of the only other dudes that I know who's like into comedy.
No, it's all I care. I don't watch movies. Name a movie, I didn't see it. I promise. But you name Shane Gillis is probably my favorite comedian.
Shane, he came up on my radar.
Yeah.
Of course, post that SNL shit and all that stuff.
Yeah. He's cool. He's special. I think.
Yeah. He's got a real good, very unique point of view.
But he hits the notes for being from the Northeast. He reminds me of like one of my friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm saying.
And it's always a half joke on whether he's really fucking right wing or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's like a cool thing that he does. Yeah.
Because you did that shit the first time we met, kind of. You're like, I'm excited to move to Texas. I'm gonna go get a gun. Fuck all of these people.
I did. I bought a bunch. I bought an
Good.
AUG.
Now you're a fucking Texan.
No, I had like 30 before I moved here.
Well,
they were just
you were already a Texan.
They were just New Jersey compliant.
But yeah, I don't know. I fall into like. Comedy and podcasts so much now. Like, not my favorite comedians. Like, I like their stand-up, but like my favorite podcast right now is Bad Friends. Like, I love
Bobby Lee and
Andrew Santino.
Yeah, they're cool too. I seen them at the Comedy Store, 2019.
No shit.
Yeah, both of them because I was just there on like a few nights in a row when I was visiting and shit. Yeah, they're awesome too, man.
Yeah,
I like them all, man. I love all of it.
Yeah, I mean, very rarely do I run across somebody that I'm just like, I can't fucking get into it.
I felt like that way about like John Mulaney's new one.
John Mulaney's new one is actually probably my favorite of all of them, just because he feels like he's being more real because he's talking about his addiction.
Yeah, I get that.
He's not in this place of where he's like playing a Disney character.
I get that. Yeah, I actually get what you mean. Like maybe less funny, but more real. Is that what
and I think that's like, I find more entertainment, and it may not even be humor, from sets like that, whereas like people who will like make me double over and fucking cry laughing is like dudes like Theo, who's like their word craft is so fucking
but
crazy.
I find more humor just watching Theo just have a regular conversation.
Exactly.
And that's how I feel about Tim Dillon.
Yeah, I can't separate those two when they're like in a long form conversation or their time on stage. Like there's not like a big
you just
mask.
like the character.
Yeah, and I don't know where to draw the line of performer and regular
I actually
person.
think Joe Rogan is a very underrated comedian. I've been watching his new sets live here, and he's good. He's a good writer.
I would love to see Joe live, just because it's like so much of what I get is he's such a big monolith in public,
But I just appreciate his writing. Like he does compile like a beautiful set.
Oh,
he does,
well,
because I'm looking at it like art now. You know what I mean? Like a painting.
Well, I mean the bit he has about the fucking Kardashians and him climbing
Great
up
bit.
on the stool,
great shit.
and doing all of that. He's always had a really good perspective that I've identified with.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think his like public presence and being this person
it's actually
has
more
overshadowed.
Serious.
It's overshadowed.
100%. Yeah, actually 1,000,000%.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm not even in the mood for his podcast because he's like very serious and it's like very deep. Like
the sincerity takes away from like what you want out of it. But even though a lot of that shit is valuable information,
very valuable.
and like I dip into that like vitamins. Like it's like, hey, do I need to re-up?
Same here. Yeah, absolutely. That's actually a really good way to put it.
Yeah.
Whereas like Theo's just always in this. You don't even know if it's a character.
Hey man, I fucking knew this dude Dennis who came out and he had one leg, but he could jump rope like a motherfucker. And it's just like weird shit like that.
And you don't even know. Me and my friend had a
about?
30-minute debate if it's real or not. And he's like, we don't even know.
I don't know. I consume so much of his content that it's hard for me to think that it's not real, because he retells the same stories.
I agree.
And I'm like, you can't keep up with lies like that.
Yeah.
But he might just be that good. But he's also had some like really sincere moments to where like that Theo mask never leaves, and he's still like trying to be sincere and kind. And it's like, maybe all that stupid shit he's making up is real. Maybe he really does know like a guy with Down syndrome named Derry who was shooting people. Maybe that is real.
And it's like, but the thing is, there's still some wonder behind it.
Yeah.
It's like perfect. I'm like so glad that someone like that exists.
It makes me wonder if like a lot of these guys, if they could focus that creativity into anything else, like I still think they would be just as interesting. Because it's like so much of what they're doing is just observing and then like kind of regurgitating through a creativity of what they're experiencing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it just so happens that like being a wordsmith and being a stand-up ends up being their art form. Yeah, their medium.
Absolutely. I even thought about it too, like coming out here trying some of these open mics.
You should do it.
Yeah,
you should do it.
Yeah.
They'll think your accent's cute. You got long hair. You're good looking.
Yeah. We got a thing going.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I like it.
Yeah, I feel like it'd just be an easy pass for me because I got the Jewish blood, and I feel like it's one of those things that we're just like born to do. We're supposed to be the fool.
You want to pass me that bourbon? Or what?
Okay. This is bottle number 2 now.
Hell yeah, dude.
I'm gonna have to go get a meal after this.
Yeah, hell yeah. You're gonna have to take a fucking Uber back to College Station.
I don't want to do that.
No,
Jesus Christ. I don't want to leave my Lexus here. I'm already afraid of it sitting out by the parking meter.
I'll keep it.
Yeah. So how has it been? Because you've been out here for about a year now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Almost exactly 1 year.
Yeah.
I think when I met you, I was about to move out here.
Yeah, you were just talking about finding a house.
That was like this weekend.
Well, because, it was at Sinners. That's right.
Yeah. And Brandon was just here last week.
No shit.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
That motherfucker.
Yeah, he was just here, and he was announcing his last Sinners Tattoo Convention.
Yeah.
And then you can order from Sinners Tattoo Supply.
You're giving people plugs
and
now?
You can order, and you can put in the code Bobby10 and save yourself 10% off.
He gave you a code?
He gave me a
I'm going to
code.
fucking call him after this. I'm going to be like, you motherfucker.
Sinners Tattoo Supply, man. Fucking, Bobby10.
It's so funny. Like, there's a bunch of us, especially in the Texas circuit.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like this in like New York.
No,
New Jersey
I mean
area.
I'm a Texas guy now.
Yeah.
I don't know about New Jersey no more.
But we would have like something like almost 30 shows a year just in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And so me, Brandon, a bunch of the guys in the same, at the same level, we were all seeing each other constantly, competing and shit like that. And Brandon's this weird anomaly of like, there's a couple of people who I feel like this. Quinn Hernandez is another dude. I'm like, dude, you're too good looking to be a tattooer.
Yeah,
like, you got to stop. Like, get out of this. Leave it for the schlebs like me, because it's like you're fucking up the whole game, you know? Yeah. I was like, you can't be like buff.
Yeah, Brandon's like a G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
With his wife and shit. They're out there like, what the fuck is going on?
What are you doing?
Yeah.
I was
He's
like,
catching us up like an OnlyFans page. Or
exactly. He's good people, man. And he's
I fuck with him heavy.
He's an interesting cat that he's like just taking the business side of it. Like him and Rember.
Rember's like a god, and you know.
He's a fucking robot.
Yeah, I don't even think Rember's human.
He's a strange cat.
Yeah.
Very, very admirable. Another one of those compasses. But like, the first time I went to go work with Rember, I went to go do a guest spot up in Denton at Dark Age.
I've been there, yeah.
He fucking took me to jujitsu practice in the middle of a fucking tattoo and beat the shit out of me.
I watched Rember work till 4 a.m. and get back up at 8 a.m. and work again. I'm like, either this guy's from another planet or he's just on a lot of Adderall.
He's an immigrant is what it is. He's got that,
like
Joey Diaz, he got that fucking immigrant mentality.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Fucking cocksucker.
Yeah. So, like, I mean, he, because he was a prize fighter before he was a tattooer, he's doing all this amazing work with one eye.
Yeah, I know that.
Which is so crazy.
Yeah.
But he's got a brain for like problem solving. So now outside of tattooing, he's like, how do I do the education thing? How do I do real estate? He was the first guy that I ever knew of who brought in a professional art teacher every Wednesday to teach his guys. Like what an amazing way to like instill like loyalty to you, but also to be like, I'm going to empower you with tools to make more money, because at the end he benefits from it. But he's an interesting character to where he kind of broke the mold on what everybody thought a tattooer should be, because everybody kind of thinks that we're like rock stars who don't play instruments. Like that's the lifestyle we lead. And like I've had my moments of that, but like I'm, I like stuff and money and like not having credit card debt and shit.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the rock star with no instrument.
I mean, it's fun as long as you can pay your bills. You're
not gonna headbang with this hair, bro.
You're not doing hard drugs.
No, not yet.
Not yet. I don't know. It could be a whole new, fucking story for Bobby. I can see you in 6 months and be like, man, fucking heroin's awesome.
No, fuck that. I'm more of a stimulant guy, dude.
I'm afraid of like the one thing that will keep me on like my hard drug sobriety, because I'll fuck around with hallucinogens and stuff like that. In fact, I told you I had a story about that, but
we're talking about the mushrooms.
Yeah.
I think I took too big of a micro dose before this episode.
It's a macro dose,
No, it wasn't a macro dose. It was just like I just did a micro dose without actually a scale.
Yeah, you eyeballing shit.
And like you came up and I was like, whoa.
Yeah, that looks like a gram. It's cool.
Yeah, no, it was supposed to be like 0.3 or some shit.
That's fucking funny.
But it might have been in grams.
Yeah, I'm afraid to do hard drugs because fentanyl, man.
Yeah,
I
agree.
I have buddies of mine who still party.
Yeah, you should.
And I'm like, that's cool, but they have fentanyl testers for their drugs.
The only drug I would ever do currently in my life right now is Molly. That's my favorite fucking drug, dude.
Yeah, it's all feel goods.
Oh, and it needs to be tested though 5 times.
Yeah, it's all feel goods. So
last time I did that shit though, I like that. That's my favorite drug, if I were to say.
Have you Maya's cocaine?
Yeah. Well, Molly is cocaine, but like
feel goods.
No, but it's the longer version.
I mean, it depends on how much cocaine you get and how pure it is. I grew up on a border city. You don't cut it before you bring it over the border.
Oh, you were just catching that real fucking fish scale.
We called it escama.
You were fishing right out there.
You would open it and it would just flake.
Damn,
in the room.
You were fishing on land.
Yeah, it was bad times.
Damn.
Good times, but bad times. Stripper food. We called it stripper food.
Damn.
But no, so have you noticed that mushrooms are like weed now? Like there's products showing up everywhere.
Mushrooms are like, in a legal standpoint, like weed. Like
people
start
that's what
turning
I mean.
their heads. but it's like on its way maybe, but like no one cares that much. But weed's like no one cares at all.
Yeah, so like when I was heavy into
Yeah.
doing like hallucinogens, I never
Yeah.
got chocolate bars that were branded that were fucking mushrooms.
But now you're getting with mushrooms.
So I am a fat kid.
Yeah.
If you hand me candy, I'm gonna eat it. And
Yeah,
this has gotten me into trouble in the past, but
Yeah.
this I felt like I was in a safe environment. I was just in Dallas a couple months ago. I was working a convention, and we went out to eat afterwards, and we went to a place where you could like sit down at picnic tables, but there was a shitload of like food trucks. And so we did it like, family style, to where like everybody ordered a bunch of shit. We put it out on the table and everybody's kind of like eating off of everything.
Yeah.
And one of the guys who was with us was like, "Hey, Dave, did you get some of that chocolate before, And I was
Yeah.
like, "No." And so he's like, "Here." So he hands me like 4 pieces of chocolate and I just eat it.
Yeah.
And I'm like chewing on it. I'm like, this fucking tastes weird. What was in this chocolate? What truck did you get it from? I was like, "Oh, that's mushrooms. Nobody told you?"
Damn.
And I was like, so like I got dosed up pretty heavy.
Yeah, yeah.
With albino penis envy. Terrible name for a fucking tattoo.
No, but I know that's like a strong
Oh, dog.
strain.
Oh, dog.
How many grams did you eat?
So
It was like a heroic ass dose.
it was at least like 3, so almost an 8.
So you were out there.
I had fun, but it was a surprise. It was like almost like I roofied myself.
You didn't
with-
plan on it.
No, but like
Damn.
I've been pretty good about like I don't have to be in like everybody talks about like you got to be in this mental state. You got to be
No.
prepared.
Yeah.
It's like if you've rode the roller coaster before, you know what it's like.
Maybe a surprise might be good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I've had that happen with acid and shit like that, and acid's a lot worse.
I've never taken it.
Because acid is really fun until you're done having fun, and then you're just like, I don't want to have fun anymore. I
Oh,
want
but
to go
it
to
keeps
sleep.
going.
Yes, fucking 15 hours. It's unnecessary.
Oh, it's so unnecessary.
Like 8 hours, a good mushroom trip, you're good. But so I ended up like really enjoying myself, and then the same guy like apologized by giving me a whole bar, and so like it's sitting around, and now I'm like staring it in the face.
Oh,
I'm
and you
like,
still got it.
and I'm like, yeah, I just need a day to where like I want to go deep. I want to do the whole thing.
Yeah.
I want to.
You just want to eat it
I
all.
want to eat the 7 grams that's in this fucking.
the most heroic
I
dose.
just want to go in because
Just
that's.
learn about everything.
I have problems with moderation. Like I want to see how deep the rabbit hole goes. We have a buddy of mine who synthesized a bunch of DMT, and like by a bunch I mean like we had a like Tupperware full of like crystal DMT that this guy had made, and to where we were like smoking it on every other day or
Damn.
on the daily, just because I was like
So
I
you've
want to
had
go.
these experiences.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've gone deep. I've done everything but bang something into my veins.
Well, that's like at that point you're not having like that's not like
Like I've never
fun.
smoked crack.
Yeah, but that's like shit you do when you're like down.
Yeah,
Like, that ain't like
yeah.
yeah. That don't even like that's like dark shit. No?
Yeah. I mean, maybe I don't know. They make good music. All those fucking heroin
Yeah,
junkies.
but yeah. At what expense? I guess.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
maybe.
I'm not the one dying. I'm just enjoying the tunes.
yeah. But you're talking about like some shit that's like expansive.
Well, so I wanted to remove the filters that I had put in place, either
Yeah.
through, life experience or cognitively of like blockages and shit.
Yeah.
And I want honesty and truth. The older I get, I want more honesty and
that
truth.
seems like just in line with nature's order of things, kind
Yeah,
of. Right?
yeah. You remove the
Yeah.
bullshit filters as you
Yeah.
go on in life, and you're just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want
Yeah.
to put up with this. I was just doing this to keep up appearances, kind of stuff. And then you get deeper down into that hole, and you're just like, yeah, you know what? All of this shit isn't worth it. It's just like the tattooing thing we were talking about. It's like I was just keeping up appearances because I thought this was the way that you should do it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And but I've gone really heavy on hallucinogens. Now I like it because it's almost like I'm giving my brain a bath a little bit. Like I'm just kind of clearing off some cobwebs.
Yeah.
I'm clarifying. If anything, it gives me a lot more like gratitude is what I've latched
It almost
onto.
seems like something I feel like inevitably I must experience,
I think you can get there with almost anything. You can get there with mushrooms. Mushrooms, for me, have always been the safest bet for a good teacher. Sometimes it's a very harsh teacher, and you can have a bad trip. But like, Molly and
I really
Sid,
love my favorite band. I love Molly. I don't do it very often, but when
Right.
I do, it's always been like
It's
great.
very fun.
Well, because like I feel like that feeling that it gives me is like the feeling that I refer to when I like create or something. Like,
Yeah, it makes me feel, and I think it may be the same feeling because I like that as well. Is it gives me the feeling of the click, 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 click of the roller coaster. Like
Yeah.
I'm not dropping down, but it's that built up of anticipation
Yeah,
that I
dude.
feel.
And I love it. And actually, it's weird because like stimulants like that make me relax.
Yeah. Well, you have ADHD.
I could sit down on the couch on Molly and like get in my head and just like start rocking.
Can you have like a double espresso and then go to sleep?
For sure.
Yeah, you have ADHD.
Yeah, but
probably.
I
I'm
love-
not a doctor, by the way. I'm not a doctor.
Dr. Hirsch.
Dr. Hershman is a good fucking.
Dude, it sounds
there are
like-
there are
Dude, that's
doctors.
a doctor fucking
there are
name, bro.
doctors named David Allen Hershman.
Dude. Yeah.
100%. 100%. You
That's
will
like
find some old
in-
Jewy bastards
in New
fucking
York, there's 5 of them.
Exactly. And they all work for the same practice.
Yeah. And they do business with each other.
And there's a bunch of them in Boston working at Beth Israel, dude.
Dude,
Like, it's just the thing.
I could take Molly and sit on the couch and just rock.
Oh, yeah.
And then start getting in my head about like what I need to do. And then I wake up the next day feeling better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird.
You don't get the Blue Mondays. See, I never had
and
that
I could
issue.
actually walk around too, and I start getting like I go back and forth between chilling and walking.
Yeah, so like, it sounds a lot like you have a similar brain chemistry to me, because I had the same experience where like the first time I did DMT, I was, built up into this idea of like, it's like, the lights are going to go out and you're going to have this experience. I got up and walked around and got a drink of water, and my buddy's like, what the fuck is going on? I was like, man, it fucking tastes bad. I needed to get a
You
drink.
almost felt like more normal.
Yeah,
bro.
a little bit more normal.
Yeah. Bizarre.
And then when
People always told me they thought I was like a psychedelic adventurer when they met me.
But even before you did like psychedelics?
Before I did anything
Yeah.
ever. Yeah. So it's like I already relate to like these mushroom people.
But do you live in here a lot?
Yeah.
Constantly, right?
most.
Yeah. This is my fucking cerebral
I'm
castle.
a head guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a head guy up here, but not in real life. I'm like,
Yeah.
I was like, no.
No, but I'll be talking to someone. I'm like, yeah, the presence of life. And they're like, oh man, when you did your dose, I'm like, I never did.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like, and they think I did. And I always relate to those people.
But I think like people like me and you who live up here, we get more out of being a psychonaut and going out there and doing those experiences than I think regular people do. Because I think, like, I'm not always looking for a lesson when I'm like, I'm going to dose up or I'm going to do mushrooms.
No, I get I already like think of these lessons like on the reg.
Right. So like, I'm not like out there
I'm almost
searching.
trying to get away from the lesson.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so like, I feel like I get a lot of that. Have you ever done anything outside of that, like the sensory deprivation tanks or
No, but I've
anything
been
like
wanting to. I might even do one like tomorrow.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I actually spent a lot of time thinking about that. I want to do one of those.
It's weird to be like separated from everything and only be inside your head. I think most people try to avoid that as much as
No,
possible.
I like that.
Yeah.
For me, like being alone and isolated, and especially what I'm going through right now in my life, like for me, it's exciting. I love being like alone.
Do you feel like you're getting to know yourself again?
Yeah, for me, I yearn for that.
So-
It's like very cool, actually.
Like when I was going through all my bullshit, you know, getting out of a long relationship and dealing with all of that, I realized how much I built my life around somebody.
Yeah.
And it was really nice to clean house and like build my own
I
clubhouse.
love that feeling.
Yeah.
I actually like look forward to it.
It's like I think it's because I love Indiana Jones, or the idea of Indiana Jones
I like
so
that
much.
adventure.
Exactly.
Me
I want to
too.
be an adventurer.
I was in Ukraine by myself, staying in like a house, and I like being
so
alone.
you started all the shit over there.
Yeah. Yep. That's
knew
why
it.
I'm a real AK guy.
Yeah.
But I love like waking up alone, and I have no one to tether to.
Yeah, see, and when I went to Europe, I went by myself, and everybody was like, "You're just gonna go over
I
there?"
love
and
that
I'm
stuff.
like, "Yeah,"
Because I have a real strong connection with myself. So for me, actually, like being with somebody sometimes is like more tumultuous than being with myself.
I fucking love you, dude,
Yeah.
because it's like I'm a big fan of me.
Yeah.
Like, and I know that like people are like, "Oh, yeah, he's a pretentious asshole." It's like, no, I know
No.
me. I
Yeah,
know
yeah.
me.
A lot of people struggle with that. My mom used to tell me I was okay with playing by myself.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I don't need.
It's not like I didn't have friends.
No,
but
I had
didn't
a lot
need
of friends.
them.
I don't need them. I
Yeah.
chose them.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it's like when I get out of a long relationship, I feel like sometimes I felt a little bit even lowered being in the relationship because they were like kind of striking down my vibe a little bit.
You know, it's so funny. And like, if my ex-wife ever heard this, she would fucking feel so fucking pissed off by this. But like, when I got a divorce, I felt like I took an uncomfortable pair of shoes off.
Yeah.
Like, I needed them to walk around, but goddamn, they were fucking uncomfortable and they hurt my feet. Like, it was such a relief.
Like, they worked and they gave you grip.
Yeah, they did the things that shoes are supposed to do,
but they
fucking annoyed me.
They were just too tight.
Yeah, I couldn't be myself.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And then, you know, I got to that point to where, you know, then you get past that and you appreciate it and you're like, well, you know, now I know more than anything about what I don't want and what I want.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely, man. I get exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, it's like crazy.
That's a pretty good place to end, yeah?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Wear the shoes that fit.
Yeah, wear the shoes that fucking fit.
Yeah.
You know? And
even if it's no fucking shoes.
And walk around on your own. Go be by yourself for once.
Walk around barefoot.
You know? Fucking pussies.
And ground on the earth, you pussy bitches.
Yeah. Hell yeah, man. What a blast, dude. This was so much fun.
Thanks for hanging out. Yeah.
I had
we got to do it again, man.
Yeah.
You just tell me when you're ready to come down.
Yeah.
And we'll do it again.
Yeah, we'll
Anytime.
have to. We got to catch a comedy show is what we got to do.
Invite. Fuck yeah.
We got to do that. I feel
I'll make a call over there, you know.
Yeah. I mean, like, and honestly, it's such a short drive. It's not really that bad.
Yeah, I think we should do this on like a cycle. You know, you come whenever.
Yeah. I'm down. I'm down to be a repeat boy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's really cool what you're fucking doing. It seems like you're enjoying yourself.
Yeah, totally.
Which is cool.
And I'm in like a tumultuous time in my life, but I'm still here. We're hanging.
This will be really good once you crest over that hill and you can look back and you can be like, yeah, that shit was crazy what I was going through, but look how good I fucking handled it.
I already know.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'll just go out there. I'll backpack through fucking Amsterdam or some shit.
Yeah. Yeah, we can go do that together, but be by ourselves.
Yeah, I'm down, dude. We're going to... where could they find you? Tell these cats.
You can find me mostly on Instagram. It's Hersh Tattoo.
Yeah.
And then you can find me at Hard Love in College Station. That's my home studio. If you email me, just know that I'm not the one who's going to talk to you. Yeah. It's going to be my assistant, Sophia. And then she'll relay to my dyslexic.
I'm such a bad guest. I never even introduced you, but it's fine.
I'm Dave Hershman. He'll figure it all out when he posts it.
I actually that's not my style.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They'll find who you are.
Yeah, they'll figure it out. It's a mystery.
Well, they just got to know you more than most. So that's good. That's good enough.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah. And I appreciate it.
Fuck yeah, man.
Hell yeah.
Thanks for drinking whiskey with me. Give me one of those.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yo,
we drank a lot of whiskey.
Yeah, me and you might have, because you were on my level with that shit. I feel like sometimes I'm forcing these cats to drink this shit.
Oh, dude, I like a brown liquor.
Fuck yeah, me too. But later, deuces, bitches.
Get on our wavelength. Dude, what?